There is the Wookiee. That means usually one thing. It can mean many things. But right now, it means we are live and it's time for this week's Freaky Friday. Right here on TFRlive.com. Oh, yes, indeedy. Can you handle the woo, Scotty? I'm telling you, man. I'm looking forward to tonight's conversation. Last night, it was almost like a warm up. I spoilt myself. Very self indulgent. Got into all the topics that I love to speak about with a wonderful guy, Tony Merkel. I want to give him a big shout out. Check out the Confessionals podcast. And Scott, I was telling you before the show, although I never got the chance to finish the story, but Tony, he sports a rather fabulous beard. It makes Popeyes look insignificant. In fact, it makes Popeyes look like 5 o'clock shadow, to be honest with you. But
Mm.
you know what Tony's gone and done? He's kind of teamed up with a beard oil guy. But it's not like he just like promotes beard oil. It's called like the Hat Man beard oil. And it's fragranced after these cryptids. And it's all these weird and wonderful names. And people in our chat were wanting a Mothman one. And dude, how cool an idea is that? Come on. You got to take your hat
Easy.
off, you know?
Yeah, now that is a niche market that he has tapped into. That's called being pretty business savvy. And yeah, shout out. That's pretty cool. Fragranced beard oils
And
named after different cryptids.
you'd have truly loved this. You would have truly loved last night's show because we were getting into all things Bigfoot. The majority of the show was on Bigfoot. And that's how Tony started out. He's in Pennsylvania. But of course, Scott, the conversation went to the forests and all the strangeness in there. He even brought up the staircases, man. He just out of the blue brought up the staircases, and any man that brings up the staircases randomly, he definitely wins some kind of Freaky Friday pass, right?
Yeah, definitely. If somebody just can bring up the staircases right off the top of their head, that's somebody who's definitely steeped in the woo.
He's
Just like
dedicated to the woo, man, isn't he?
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
got that feeling
yeah.
right away, dude. A big shout out to Charlie Robinson for helping to line that show up. It was absolutely fantastic, and catch it here in the TFR archives over on the Kev Baker Show page. Now then, let me head into the Wookiee Cave because on Freaky Friday, not that you didn't know this, but we've got a bit of a tradition here, a ritual, if you may. And what we do is we give a shout out to all of the Wookiees. That's the people that are over in the chat room at tfrlive.com/chat. So you've got about, I don't know, 30 seconds to head on over there. And yours truly here will give you a shout out.
Maybe we'll do it from the bunker, Scott. From the bunker.
No, we wouldn't do that, right? No, no, no. But when we do play Call of Duty next time, I will be using that voice. Anyway, I digress. First up in there, we've got Sophia. She might not be human, but she's got it all going on. Yes, indeedy. Brown chicken, brown cow. We've got Bam in there. Cold Brews, Melissa. Epic. Big shout out to you, brother. We've got Todd, all one. Lavender. Low I, 17th letter of the alphabet. Daryl, Paradoxical Anomaly. And Wise Wolf Radio. Yes, indeedy. So, Scotty Lopez, what have you been up to this week? Have you been behaving yourself? How have you been whiling away the hours, Scott?
I've just been hanging out, basically. You know, being that everybody gotta do the social distance thing and all that good stuff, and just taking the time to spend time with my family. And since the kids are out of school for the rest of the year, pretty much.
Didn't happen when I was in school. No, I never had any big
I know,
shutdown like this. Nah, never happened when I was there. These kids
I know,
today, you know.
I know they're spoiled. I know if I was in school, I would have been pretty excited for something like this, honestly. But nah, now that they got to stay home and do schoolwork and stuff like that, I'm helping my little sister out, and she's actually kind of like happy to do schoolwork from home because to be honest here, the government indoctrination centers are not a really ideal place for learning. And my little sister, she tries to pay attention and learn in class, and there's so much distraction going on because, you know, kids just run amok and there's like no discipline that's really allowed anymore. You know what I mean? And because, everybody's afraid of, you know, getting in trouble for engaging
Raising
in
your
just,
voice above
yeah,
10
raising your
decibels.
voice. And yeah. So now that all the little heathens have to stay at home and do Zoom calls and all of that, there's not much distraction. So
You seen
my
this
sister
new
actually
thing that
liked.
they're all using, Scott? This kind of block, like, messenger thing. It makes Skype look antiquated. Not that that's really hard, but I've seen it. You get multiple people, and there's like blocks here, there. I'll need to get the name of it, but yeah, it's like you can have literally a block party in your house. So I can see the kids starting to use that. But this homeschooling thing, I wonder how many parents might actually stick with that. I know it's
That's
kind
what
of been
I'm wondering,
forced upon them, but maybe they'll like it.
yeah, this is one of those things to where it's like maybe it does show the, what would you say, the antiquated, sort of archaic way of doing things. Like maybe it shows that there can be a new way of doing things, right? And I mean, there's so many, I would say, benefits to online schooling in general. I mean, I think people should have the option. Like, if you wanted to go to a class, with other kids or whatever, then yeah, I mean, you should have that option. But I think both options should be on the table. And if you wanted to stay at home and do online classes, then there should be really nothing to prevent you from doing that. And I mean, yes, that option has always been there, since they've offered it. But like I said, I think taking kids out of that government indoctrination center, or as I like to call it, prison training or whatever. I mean, because it's really what it is. It's Pavlovian training more than it is education. You're put on a schedule. It's to basically acclimate and train the students for when they grow up and they're in a workplace environment, right? The bell rings, you respond to the bell. It's a Pavlovian response. You go to lunch. It's to teach them basically work shift hours, as opposed to really education. That's kind of the secondary thing. It's to create a, help train a workforce. It is essentially what it is. But I think the whole online aspect of it would help, like, say, for kids that are bullied, right? They don't have to worry about going into a environment where, maybe they might encounter bullies or basically a hostile environment. They can just stay at home and learn. And I just think that there's lots of benefits to it. And then you can also supplement some extra education on top of it as well. Like, I'm going to be helping my little sister out with her algebra. She said, well, they're starting to do algebra in her class, and I'm like, okay, you know, and so I'm gonna print out some worksheets and help her out with it too. And you know, I think it's a good way to get people at home more engaged too with helping your child out learning and all of that stuff. So I don't know, you know, I think there's some good things, some benefits to all of this, you know, lockdown going on right now that maybe you know, I brought up the whole thing of, you know, what's going to be the new norm. Maybe this is going to be the new norm. Maybe we're going to see kind of a shift in the way children learn if they decide, you know what, I kind of like this online thing. You know, parents are like,
They should
yeah,
get
you
it for
know,
modules on the console, Scott. If you could get like training packages onto a console, kids are never off consoles. You know, parents out there right now, they'll appreciate. You know, they probably need a crowbar at times to prise them away. You know, just for basic bodily functions and bathing and stuff like that. I'm having a laugh, Scotty, but
and you know, I think it keeps the kids more behaved as well, right?
yeah,
Because they have to be at home. They're sitting right there next to their parents, and we all know that when kids act out in class, it's because, well, you know, they know the teacher's a pushover, the parent's
especially
not
more so
there.
nowadays, Scott. I mean, they can't even raise their voice, you know?
Exactly. And, you know, that's what frustrates my little sister. She's like, I can't focus in class because everybody in there's so bad, you know, and the teacher's trying to, you know, trying to control the children most of the time as opposed to educating. And so now that they're all forced to be home and mommy and daddy are sitting right there by him, I mean, what are you going to really do? You can't, you know, poke or mess with somebody
Whip
over a
out.
Zoom conversation.
It's like get
Yeah,
the whip out,
exactly.
man.
So it's actually kind of forcing them to focus and learn. So you know, whatever. I think it's kind of cool. So
What would you put on the curriculum, man? I would have like some kind of woo. The science of woo. Woology?
woology.
Sci.
Well, I mean,
You'd have to get into remote viewing and alternative and hidden history. We could throw that into our curriculum for homeschooling.
the big three, obviously, right? Reading, writing, math, and then science. Obviously, I mean, science is awesome. Science was my favorite subject. Science and history were my favorite subject. And, you know, obviously you got to have, okay, so we call it the big five: reading, writing, math, science, history. And then, yeah, why not?
Origami. We need children that are interested in working with papers that can end up in.
Uh,
Hey, dude, I'm just thinking of the
eh,
future, man. Nobody wants to be that guy. Nobody wants to be that guy.
yeah.
You know, another good thing? If you think down the road a bit, you know, if this is the new norm, think of how many haunted schools we're going to be seeing, like paranormal investigations and dude. They're all empty. Schools are like, how many? It's weird though, right? You see so many schools. I mean, asylums, I get that, right? But schools, kids running around, I get what you're saying, boisterous and things, but you know, for them to be kind of haunted, it's a bit weird. And a bit sinister as well. I don't know, dude. There's something sinister about child kind of spirits.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah, that gets a little more creepy, you know.
Yeah, I don't know why. It shouldn't be, right? They're smaller people, they're innocent, but there's something a bit, yeah, makes the hairs on your spine go up, man.
So that's what makes it even more creepy, right? It's like seeing the haunted little girl that's like, come and play with me, and you're like, no, 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 we're not doing any of that. Mm-mm.
That's like The
Yeah,
Shining. This is, yeah, The
yeah.
Shining. Yeah, man. No, that's not good, That's not good, man. All the worst horrors,
Oh,
usually got a young person in
wait,
it.
was it like The Ring? Wasn't that a little
Yeah.
girl?
The Ring, they're quite disturbing movies, man. They're pretty grim. Talking of
Mm.
movies, I actually think I've got a movie-related story here. Wasn't how I was going to kick things off, but we'll get into it, right? Because talking creepy, it's Freaky Friday. We're going to hit some deep woo tonight, Scott. Hopefully we'll be, oh, hang on now. Hang on, and just like that, we were joined. by the third musketeer. Oh, hang on. I need to add him. Here we go. Just like that. I think Joe Joseph's going to be here. There he is. Mr. Joe.
Ah, yes. What's up, buddy?
How you doing, man? How you doing?
It's Friday, buddy, old
It
pally.
is. It is. We were just talking about, like, with all the changes and the new world being new things happening, all these schools might be empty from now on, Joe. So we were saying that they're going to make some really good locations for some paranormal investigations.
Wow. Are you kidding? Serious?
Well, you think about it, dude. How many times do you watch all these paranormal investigations? Again, I'm giving away that I watch far too many of them, but there's definitely too many like schools that are haunted. So if everyone's to
Absolutely.
stay at home now, right? Then
Could you imagine? And then all of the people over time, like for example, the mass shooting locations of the high schools, say that did stay open. Oh man, or the ones that like, oh yeah, Missy Smithers hung herself in the bathroom back in the class of 24 and she haunts the halls, and that kind of thing. Or even now, recently, was there anybody that died of the virus since all of this stuff went down?
Ooh.
And perhaps they are walking the halls. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, I'll tell you what, right? We got talking about The Shining. Me and Scott agree. Definitely a creepy movie. And I've got one quick
Very.
story here that'll kick things off for us. It's not The Shining, but it's The Exorcist. And Linda...
It's the shitting! The shitting!
Yes, Linda Blair speaks out on The Exorcist curse. Now, the former child actress who starred in the iconic horror film suffered significant real-life injuries during filming. And when it was released, the original Exorcist was so terrifying that some unsuspecting cinema-goers ended up passing out in the theatre. Things didn't go much better behind the cameras either. And when shooting began in 1972, a fire tore through the set of Regan McNeil's home, causing extensive damage, and in a peculiar twist, the room used for the actual exorcism scenes escaped unscathed. Now, actors Jack McGowan and Valiciki Malieros both passed away shortly after filming had wrapped, and both Linda Blair and Max von Sydow suffered the loss of a close family members during shooting. And Jason Miller's son nearly died in a motorcycle accident, and several actors were injured on set. Now, one of those who suffered injury was Linda Blair herself, who, during filming, had been strapped into a special contraption designed to flail her body around and make her appear possessed. One day during filming, the lacing that was designed to support her, it came loose, leaving her flailing around so violently that she fractured her lower spine and was left in agony. Now, Blair herself can be seen speaking out on the incident in a clip, and the footage that was recorded at the time of the accident, and this is creepy, that was the bit that they used in the actual film. So when she's screaming in that movie, that's real.
That's amazing. Guys, do you remember, Kev, when I suggested, and I don't know if you watched it, but the, what was it, The Devil and Father Amort on Netflix? And I don't know if it's still here now. Father Amort passed away in 2016, but before he passed away, one of his last exorcisms, he was on like year 7 of it. And the family had gotten to know him so well and had become so accustomed to him coming in and doing the like the weekly exorcism or so of this poor woman that, I mean, she was possessed, bro. They allowed a camera in, and the deal was that it could only be one camera, that there could be absolutely no they tried to make it in such a way that there's no denying what you saw, that there's no way it could be toyed with or fooled with, and what you see in that documentary is clear-cut video footage of a woman, a petite woman, gain superhuman strength, and her voice totally shifts into this two-toned, demonic, and
See,
it's just like,
that's the weird thing. I mean,
man.
that's the truly weird
Yeah.
thing, and it must be so disturbing if you're there to witness that, Scott. You know,
Oh.
the voice change, the discontorting of the face.
Scotty,
and-
especially if it's a loved one. Think about it. Like, oh, there's Aunt Tammy over there, right? And all of a sudden, the little lady that you look to and love so much, and sounds so like, just like your favorite aunt in the world. And next thing you know, it's like, could you imagine just the shock of that?
Yeah,
Man, Joe.
that's some wild stuff. I mean, how do you explain that? How do you explain somebody who's like, 110 pounds, 120 pounds, all of a sudden gaining superhuman strength and like, throwing things and their voice basically like pitch shifting down and it's just like, whoa. And that's what makes me wonder about some of these crazy drugs that have been floating around, like the bath salts and all of those weird, those weird synthetic drugs that have been floating around. And
who was the first dude
the
to
people
try that, Scott? Who was the first guy that got that desperate that he thought, now there's a chemical in my Radox that's gonna, well, I'll just try that. Dude.
Well, it's not even really bath
I
salt.
know.
But the thing is that when the people take this stuff, I think there's more to it than just some chemical thing in the brain.
Oh,
because
absolutely, Scotty.
they're exhibiting these like crazy, inhuman, like, I think it's opening them up to possession. I mean, just that's my thought. They're taking this stuff and it's opening something up in their brain, and then something takes over them. An entity or something comes in.
Remember the famous video that fits with that? He was chasing the guy over the bridge and he was naked and he was started like trying to like have him for dinner and things like that.
I mean, I've seen videos of people on this stuff where they're like running full force and then like jumping through like plowing through windshields and vehicles
Crazy, man.
and exhibiting such like superhuman strength that it takes like 12 police officers to subdue them. They can be shot multiple times and still be running around. And
That's
I
Walking
think
Dead stuff, dude. That's like zombie movie stuff.
I just think that there's more to it than just the excited delirium that it causes in your brain. I think I honestly think it opens them up to possession, and then I guess this goes back to the whole thing where we talk about, why do they call alcohol spirits and things like that? We talk about psychedelics and how psychedelics can link you to, like look at like the peyote ceremonies and stuff, right? That the Native Americans do. And then they end up, connecting with their spirit animal or their ancestors and all of that stuff. Well, that's a substance. That's a chemical they're taking that gives them a connection to somewhere beyond another realm or whatever. So why can't other substances do the same thing? But maybe you're being connected to a realm that you don't want to be connected to, right? So when you're taking some of these crazy synthetic research chemicals that they're constantly changing all the time, what is that really doing to you? Where are you connecting? What is that opening you up to? So I don't know. it's pretty interesting. Yeah, that whole thing with the Exorcist movie though, that's crazy. It sounds like
Yeah,
there was a
weird.
lot of
I don't have the story on hand, but there was one about the Omen as well. In fact, I think it might have been one of our favourite websites, Scott. You guessed it, Mysterious Universe. But you know, seems to be there's a bit of woo goes on around these movie sets. There really is. And when we
yeah.
come,
If you're touching on those subjects and you're putting some intent into
Yeah.
it, maybe you're,
Yep.
you know,
I was talking to the guest last night about that. He's open to that as well. You know, does that explain everything? Do we create all of the woo? Or are there really things out there lurking on the other side of the veil? We'll be getting into all of that when we come back after the break. On this Freaky Friday, right here on TFRLive.com. Don't go anywhere. You know, Scott, I was thinking of a really crap joke when you were talking about connecting with your spirit animals, and I can assure you that connecting with your spirit animal in Scotland will get you about 5 years in the jail. And it's very misunderstood, may I just hypothetically throw in there.
Yes, of course.
that was a really bad joke, Kev.
Ching,
How dare
Oh,
you!
Greta, no sheep got hurt. Did anyone say sheep? I mean, whatever animal we were talking about. It was all
No.
hypothetical anyway, right?
No farm, no foul. That's
Have
right.
you been checking in, or has Ange been checking in on Carmel, Maine, or anything lately, Joe?
No, you know, we were just talking about that tonight, and it has been a little while
I
since
know
I've
that.
checked in.
Remember the other guy we watched a couple of times, King Frostmare?
Yeah, very much
He's
so.
been and
Yeah.
stayed there, dude. He's like stayed at the Carmel house.
That's pretty cool. I would
Yeah.
love the opportunity to do that. That's something maybe in the next year I'll contact him and
Does that
shoot
not
on up
add a
there because
whole?
it's a little bit of a haul.
Does
But
that
would
not-
add a whole new dimension to things.
Does that not add a whole other layer of credibility to what the guy's claiming, though?
You know, I would say so, especially if Frostmare comes away with some really good stuff.
Oh, he's uploaded like I haven't watched it, but he uploaded the best bits of his time there. So, hey, and if nothing happens, nothing happens. You know, it's one of those things in it with the paranormal. It'd be typical that nothing will happen when somebody's there.
Yeah, I mean, and it all depends on if Shadow Dude wants to play or not.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Do you reckon, like, it's gonna sound weird, but even the Shadow Dude, could it be connected with planetary energies? You know, things have got to be. Remember, we laughed at Mercury retrograde and we all got our asses kicked by it. So, it's just a thought, you know, the magnetics have to be right. I don't know. Maybe sometimes a year it's easier for it to get back and forth. I don't know, man.
He's already if he's already in a location to where, say, the veil is somewhat weakened. You know what I mean? Maybe a little extra energy boost from some you know, from some cosmic activity could, you know, open it up a little bit more, depending on what's going on. I mean, we don't really understand a lot of these things, and yeah, I mean, could solar activity and all of that stuff play a role in it as well?
I would imagine all of that stuff plays a role in it because all of it has to do with you know, like the generation of fields and you know, lines of flux and energy going. I mean, all of that. It's a symbiosis. It's nature.
Lisa in the chat room says he experienced a lot when he went to Carmel. Oh, and thank you, Lisa. Well, we'll need to check that out, boys. Connie, we love you too. We love everyone here. It's a little loving on Freaky Friday. Kumbaya. We're not singing Kumbaya yet. Maybe later, folks. But I'm getting ready to beam us back to the mothership. There it goes. Here we go, Scotty. Fire up that Wookiee. Tickle him where he likes it. That's where he likes it. Yes, indeedy. That is the Wookiee. We are back and talking of Wookiees. How you doing, Joe?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on. I'm in
Hey, I
silly
like
mode.
I like the little Ooga Booga there up in the corner.
You like him?
Yeah, it's very nice.
He's
I like
kinda
that.
cool. Yeah, he's like the friendly ghost.
How come he doesn't look so friendly?
No, you see, it's one of these quantum ghosts. He looks unhappy, but he's really, really happy.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense then. That makes sense.
Talking of
So
quantum, dude, what we were talking about deja vus and things the other night, time slips
Okay.
and that, and the deja
Yeah.
vu thing. I think I came up with the beginnings of an idea. How about this, right?
Okay.
Because we done the show and we were talking to people, and then we got right to the end, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, our brains, that quantum thing, no time in the quantum realm, right? And we often used to talk about how the D-wave was built when they looked at the quantum effects in the brain. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering, could that deja vu, Joe, could that be like almost a coherent quantum state in one part of your brain where it doesn't collapse every couple of microseconds, you know, which is what usually happens. Something comes
Right.
along and collapses all of it, and we get that collapsing and potential collapse. That's what gives us the frames of life, you know. We run them together, and here we are. But what if maybe, you know, you just, for whatever reason, you just maintain that quantum state just a little bit longer than you're used to.
Like it's stable. You're saying
and-
like
yeah,
it's more
and then-
stable than normal.
And then you'll know what I mean, and everyone should know this, right? But when you're getting a deja vu, don't you often think to yourself, right, I need to tell somebody, but the minute I tell somebody, it's going to be over. So the minute you tell somebody, an observer, the minute you observe what's going on and recognize that it collapses and it stops. I don't know. It feels like there's something
maybe.
feels like there's something pretty quantum about a deja vu. I can't
Yeah,
explain
almost
it.
like maybe an imprint from the past. I don't know. It's weird.
Right? It's weird, but I can't explain it. But I think there's something to it. Yes.
I-
Dr.
I-
Baker will pursue this further, Scott.
No, I could see where a deja vu is extremely quantum. And like you said, I mean, if time is irrelevant at the quantum level and everything basically exists at once,
Yep.
right? Then you could experience any reference of time in that deja vu at any given moment. You know, so that's why it's like, oh, I felt like this has happened before, or
That's what
I'm
thinking,
experiencing
dude.
it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And then, like you said, it's like the double split experiment, right? Once an observer observes it, or once it's observed, then it's locked into place. It's no longer. So no, I like your train of thought.
Let
on
me
this.
let me ask you this. Okay, so because I'd say we're all pretty much right there, but let me see if I could get a different opinion on that. Shall we?
Of course.
Okay. Hey, what would you say? Deja vu. What would you say is deja vu?
I think it's
I would-
similar.
Hold on, Scotty. I'm
It's
trying to get
along the same lines as like a time slip.
like a time slip.
Similar to it, yes.
Okay.
And I can't explain.
Yeah,
what-
no, I know what you're saying. So almost like a slip between or a merging of dimensions at that time.
Sort of, yeah, probably.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, there could be
That-
something to that. Yep.
I think
Almost
I think
like
that-
timelines merging.
Almost like you're recalling something that just happened a second ago or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
And that's similar to what happened in my time slip.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's a possibility as well. I mean, I'm open to almost any explanation of deja vu because it's something we don't understand. You know, it's a phenomenon that's extremely weird. Now, like I've experienced deja vu to where, you know, when I'm like, oh, wow, it feels like I've done this before, but it wasn't like something that I just did. It felt like it was something I did maybe years ago or something like that, you know? So it's not like a recent sort of feeling of familiarity, I guess you could say. It was just like, wow, I remember doing this a long time
Yeah.
ago. Like
Sometimes exactly. Like that's every time I've had deja vu, Scotty, it has been of a distant nature. Not so
Yes,
much an immediate. It's been like distant.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I I don't know. I mean, and I'm even open to somewhat, I guess you could call mainstream explanations for it as well. But uh, you know, with maybe areas of the brain where you store memories and all of that, and maybe you're experiencing something that is similar, like you're doing an activity that is similar to something you've done before, and maybe your brain is just kind of pulling up a memory database of what you've done before and is making a correlation to it or something like that. You know, okay, I might be open to that, as I'm open to that as well, actually. But um yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just one of those really, really weird things. Maybe it's a glitch in the
Could be a
simulation.
Oh,
glitch.
big time,
Yeah,
big
right.
time. And
You know?
Scott, the scientific, I think it was the Scientific American. Science is saying what you're saying. You do something that's familiar to something that you've done at some point, and your brain,
Yep.
it goes to that pattern. It wants a pattern again. It wants familiarity, so it builds on it. And they've even like managed to stimulate a deja vu using virtual reality and the Sims computer game. But they've actually managed to do it, you know?
I believe the area of the brain that controls that is like the hippocampus, and your hippocampus transfers, I believe, short-term memories to your cortex. I don't know which area of the brain specifically, but it transfers that over there for long-term memory. So it's almost like transferring data from the RAM of the computer to the hard drive, right? If you want to think of it like that, you know, RAM is where temporary memory is stored, and then the hard drive is where long-term memory is stored. And it could have something to do with the play back and forth between, you know, those areas of the brain where memories are being shuffled back and forth. And I mean, look, our brain is like a computer. It really is. Sometimes you get computer glitches. Sometimes
Well, you know,
you
talking
get
of glitches, this is interesting because Cassie, her daughter, Cassie's one of our Scottish listeners. Her daughter has epilepsy, and she actually gets what I'm reading in between the lines here, but it sounds like she gets a deja vu experience, Joe, just before that. That's quite interesting.
Wow.
So it must be
That is,
the
yeah.
same part of the brain. You know, Kevin McCairn, the brain guy, the neuroscientist, he'd be the boy to ask about what part of the brain, but that is rather interesting. And of course, epilepsy, it can be triggered by the flashing of lights. And that to me is almost like knocking the movie that's running in your head, knocking it out of sync, Joe.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like
No,
everything.
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, because everything runs through our mind and frames. We just run it all together so quick it gives us the
Well,
illusion,
and
like a
think about
movie,
it.
that everything's going, you know?
You talk about frames per second. A lot of people don't remember the old 8mm cameras.
Yeah.
And the way the old 8mm cameras worked is if your timing wasn't right, then your frame would actually appear like if you didn't time it right, you would see the end of the frame in the middle of the screen. And it would just be off. So you'd have to set your real time right. And the same thing, I guess, could be said to your point, whereas sometimes that timing can get off, that you almost become out of sync. And that's where that kind of stuff happens, where you're not quite seeing things that 1 frame per second like you should. It's being cut off, or manipulated, somewhere at some point. And I think that there's a lot of similarity to some of the things that we see that we've created, humanity, as far as technology is concerned, to the way that the Matrix is run, if you will, where we live, the program. I just see a lot of striking similarities in how when these things falter, a lot of the symptomology we see with the time disruptions we see in like electronic behavior. It's really kind of cool.
It's because we're a wheel within a wheel within a wheel within a wheel.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so.
It's a fractal thing that's going on, right? So this goes to the whole, like, when we talk about simulation theory, right? The closer we get to actually creating lifelike simulations, kind of starts to validate or point to the very high probability that we ourselves are in a simulation, and we're getting really, really close to that point. I mean, we're running simulations on stuff, and as time goes on, I mean, these simulations get more and more lifelike. They get more, you can't, I mean, hell, we're at a point now to where we're creating video games that basically simulate the universe. I mean, that's what No Man's Sky is. I mean, yeah, it's pretty rudimentary, but it's still a procedurally generated simulation that generates,
everything out of potential. That's the best way of putting it, right? But I think it's about 100,000 lines of code, something like that. It's less than a million lines of code anyway. And people think, well, so what? Well, if you can build a simulation that can do that, every planet, its own unique composition, gravity, everything, life forms that grow there. The chances of you actually meeting somebody in No Man's Sky, if you're not added and you have them as a friend and you can hook up that way, your chances of meeting another human player in that game are next to zero. Because it would take you about 6 billion years to go to every planet that's in the game. And it's just too vast. I mean, that sounds weird, right? But it is what it is. And then, if we're building simulations like that, then why wouldn't it be that we're in a simulation like that ourselves? I really think that's where we are.
Yeah,
hey.
I do too. I do too. And we've said it before. I mean, this does not poo-poo the religious aspect of it, right? Because somebody had to code the simulation, and that would be the creator, it'd be God, So that simulation theory, I think it goes hand in hand with religion and all of that. It doesn't poo-poo that at all, actually. What is everything that we're doing right now being transmitted over fiber optic cable, right? Light. You're watching the stream on a screen, and then let there be light.
You're not even watching it on the screen. You're watching it in your head.
Yeah.
The light comes from the screen. Oh.
Yeah. The photons are hitting your eyeballs, and it's being.
Telling you, man, just biological sacks of meat to run about in this, whatever it is. We wear the Oculus to get into VR, right? That's what we wear to insert ourselves into some virtual world, and for whatever reason, somebody's inserted us into these machines. Like, it is what it is. It's a machine. It's a biological machine.
And not only is it light that you're viewing us on, it's frequency as well, because it's sound waves that are entering your ears and being translated by your brain.
Yep.
So light and frequency, that's what it all boils down to. That's that's what everything kind of boils
Telling you,
down
dude,
to.
that brain's the thing that's wired to the mainframe, man. Telling you. When you go that little bit quantum, you get to see a little bit more into the mainframe. Oh.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is matrixy, man. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. We're there. We're there. That's it. Giving up. What's the point? It's all a simulation anyway, Scott. You know, feet up. You know, who cares?
Somebody in the chat said meat modems.
Hey,
Okay.
I think we would all agree we're more than like just our flesh and bones, right? Talk about the soul. That's all it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we truly are. That light. Again, light. We're going back to light again.
You want to think about it?
Code us into light, Scott. Does that mean like the light really? Is that like? Are we physical beyond the light? Did we find a way of uploading ourselves into some other? You see what I'm saying there? We turned ourselves into a fiber optic kind of signal and woof. Some trans-dimensional shenanigans.
I mean, I think we could all agree that what mathematics is the universal language, right? Binary code. I mean, everything breaks down at its core to information. That's all everything is at the end of the day, basically, is information. And information can't be destroyed. It can be rearranged. It can be moved around. It can be, you know, matter can be converted into energy and vice versa. But at its core, it's all information, and that can never go away, right? And so it's all about how that information is arranged and how it's it's like how it's coded, how it's put out there. I don't know. It's wild, man. It's wild stuff.
Everything's wild, Scott.
All I know is that, like, I think our souls are a unique code assigned to be, you know, uploaded into a, you know, it's like having that cryptographic unique identifier, right? That's your code. That's you. There's no one else like you. Maybe the code can be duplicated every once in a while and you get like identical twins. You know what I mean? But other than that, that's your unique identifier.
So you'd look at it in this little kind of, it would be, is this an analogy? It is an analogy, right? So in this, like what we're laying out here, you could say then that prayer could be almost like a connection back to the source and a firewall, right? Some kind of firewall to stop something getting in, you know, trying to play about with the code, trying to use your code, trying to possess your code, dude. A ghost in your machine, you know.
Hey, maybe it's a good way to look at it. I don't know. We're off in the realm of
deep woo.
Deep woo.
Deep woo. Well, I'm gonna go to one of my stories then. I had it all lined up. I didn't know what we were going to be getting into tonight, but got some Loch Ness stuff. We've got some what have we got here? I think this is a weird one I found earlier on, right? Dr. Strangelove syndrome actually exists. Now, it says here that named after the 1964 Stanley Kubrick movie, this very rare condition gives your hands a will of their own. I'm not making this up, folks. You're literally talking about, like, uncontrollable hand syndrome. Now, you know, the Harvey Weinsteins out there, don't be thinking you're going to be using this in your appeal or anything like that. Don't think it's going to get you off any of those shenanigans. However, imagine if you had no control over what your hands were doing, or feeling as though your hands attached to your arms were not yours, but somebody else's to do with as they pleased. Now, I can think of some really good and some really bad examples of where that would be cool, and where it would be really bad as well. But this is literally known as Dr. Strangelove syndrome, or alien hand syndrome. Not hairy hand syndrome, alien hand syndrome. And this bizarre affliction might seem like the product of a creative mind, but according to experts, it can and does happen, albeit very rarely. Now, those suffering from it might experience an inability to control their hands and are cursed to watch helplessly as their hands perform movements and actions that have not consciously initiated. Now, in extreme cases, sufferers might have to put up with their own hands attacking them. Scott, not good. This is not good if you get a dose of strange love, right?
Wow, this is great. Is it a neurological
And before
thing?
people say it's an April Fool, no, it's not. It's not an April Fool, folks. Yeah, it says exactly what causes Dr. Strangelove syndrome. It just makes me laugh when I say that. Who knew? Is unclear. However, it typically manifests following a stroke or a brain tumor. Well, that took the funny side off of it. And has also been reported as a side effect of brain surgery as well.
Ah, okay.
The
So it is some
brain,
kind of a
the brain, dude. It's like it's hard to put into words how amazing it is, and then all the things that could go wrong, and then you see something that's wired just the wrong way, and something like this can happen where a part of your own body, you don't have any control of it, but it's your brain controlling it. Or
it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, you know, about the brain being like a computer, you know, and you go in there and something messes with the, you know, maybe corrupts something or damages a part of it, and you know, the computer starts acting erratically. It starts doing things that you don't want it to do, you know.
blue screening on you, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've had crazy, you know, that's what I do for my job. I repair computers, you know, I fix people's computers. I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff. I've had crazy stuff happen to my own computer, you know, messing around with it and doing things as well, you know. You'd be sitting there and all of a sudden you'll get a random application open up for no reason, right? You know, you didn't open the app, but the computer decided, yeah, I'm going to open it up. And then, you know, like 1,000 windows start opening up uncontrollably, you know, that's essentially what's happening here. So, you know, something has damaged the brain and it's affected that part of it that controls, you know, hand movements, and it's just sending random signals to the hand, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, I'm sure anybody who has that condition, that's gotta be crazy, you know, to just have your hand just start moving and attacking you or whatever.
Now, though, I can just go about flipping people the bird and things. And, whoa, what are you doing? Oh, it's not my hands, mate. They just do that, you know?
What's my strange love syndrome, man?
We're a badge doctor, strange love. Who the hell do you think you are? No, mate, it's a condition I've got. Damn,
but,
dude.
you know, hey, I know we're about to go to break, but I mean, it makes me think of that movie Phenomenon with John Travolta. Remember, he got the brain tumor and it caused him to become like an absolute genius. And then he started like gaining telepathic and telekinetic abilities and all of this stuff. But, you know, the irony is that no matter he still couldn't figure out how to heal himself in the end, you know, even with all of that, you know, genius that he acquired. You know, the tumor made him a genius, but it ended up killing him, you know. So
That's a trade-off, like. Dang. Anyway, we are going to the break. 1 hour down and 2 hours to go. And then, of course, it will be Brent Thomas with the Paranormal Portal. The #1 paranormal show on the airwaves, may I say. Yes, you don't want to go anywhere. Stay tuned for that coming up. And, of course, I'll be back next week with the Kev Baker Show. If there's anyone out here that didn't know that, I'll be on Monday to Thursday on tfrlive.com. And of course, keep your eyes open for extra streams during the day and over the weekend. We'll be back after these really short messages. Don't go anywhere. And keep your strange love hands to yourself. Yes, indeed. Yeah. You know, old Weinstein, when he appeals, a cute lawyer.
Would you say that, like, this Dr. Strangelove syndrome, I would say that it's probably very similar to Tourette's?
Probably, yeah.
Right? Because it's just like uncontrollable impulses, you know. So Tourette's, you act out, or, you know, whatever. It's just, you know, uncontrollable things, and so that's why, you know, people just blurt out obscenities or whatever. I mean, Tourette's is just more than that. I know that's because that's kind of the stereotype of Tourette's, but it sounds very similar though to me. Like, your hand just starts moving and you're not. There's no way you can control it. It's just some kind of
your head, dude, and your head's trying to look at things and you're not wanting to look at them, and whoa. Man, that Dr. Strangelove, as long as it stays in the hands, we're good. We're good, you know? I'm telling you, man. Wow. There he is.
Yeah.
There's Joe. He's back. Joe, did you bring us some cakes? Is that what you were saying? You were away getting cakes?
No, Mandrake.
Oh,
Are you drinking fluoride again, Mandrake? It's in the water.
I'm drinking the crimson bovine stuff.
Ooh, very nice, very nice.
Crimson bovine. It makes it sound far better, doesn't it? Well, Red Bull to anyone else, but crimson bovine, sir.
That's very, very woke.
Sounds very upscale, Mr. Baker. I've got some of that crimson bovine.
And of course, you have to roll your R's with that because.
Wow, Joe, you almost choked me on a crimson bovine. Damn, dude. Man. Wow. Not good, man.
It's never good when you're choking on crimson bovine.
For those that are
never.
For those that are more refined and live.
Wow.
How dare you?
Wow, Scott. Just
Try the bubbly, refreshing crimson bovine.
Wow, Scotty boy went there. Dang, dude. Oh,
Just say, I mean, just saying.
It's gonna be one of these nights. We've still got 2 hours to go here, man. I've got a creepy one. Yeah, I think I've got a creepy one somewhere. Yeah.
Also got some. Is the Sasquatch a telepathic creature?
No. Oh, some deep Sasquatch conversation last night, man. It was
we can
epic.
that later. What?
Ah, yes, indeedy. We've got some strange encounters with a very racist title, Bizarre Black Humanoid Entities. Why can't they just be humanoid entities? Black humanoid lives matter. You see, that's how movements get born on this day.
Bovines' lives matter, did you say?
No, I did not. I said black humanoid
Oh, black humanoids too.
Entities
Okay, yeah,
matter.
we could add them in there too,
There
but
we
certainly bovines as well.
One hour down, 2 to go right here on this week's Freaky Friday, and I've got Scotty Lopez. He's kicking back there. We've got Joe Joseph. He's brought cakes and nice goodies to the party. I can smell the bacon, Joe. I can smell it.
Bacon.
Yeah, baking, not bacon, baking.
I was gonna say bacon, dude.
Did you
I'm
not
sorry,
say in
dude.
the chat you were gonna have to go and pull some cakes out?
What are you talking about?
Well, let's scroll back up the chat.
You mean the lemon cakes I had in the oven?
Yes.
Yeah, those.
See, he acts like I'm some kind of idiot, some kind of fool, Scott. And he blatantly said I have to go and pull some cakes out of the oven. It's not cryptic, but you know, it's
I
not.
was just checking to make sure that
It's
you know.
not some algorithm Olympics that I'm trying to play with here. I literally mean cake out the oven. Literal as you like. Yep.
You can never be too sure.
Well, I suppose that is very, very true. So, Scott, you've got a story there that kind of follows on from all the stuff I was getting into last night. And it's one of the few angles or aspects of the Bigfoot that we didn't touch on. But you've dug up something here about the old Bigfoot, haven't you?
Yes. And since we were talking about the mind and all of that stuff, this also ties in. So, yes, I pulled this up from Mysterious Universe, and it's from the man himself, Mr. Nick Redfern.
Oh,
And-
legend. Legend.
Absolute
Right
legend.
up there with doctors, nurses, Nick Redmond. Telling you. Man. I mean it.
What?
Dude, I'm telling you, he's keeping, despite everything going on in the world right now, he's still providing an abundance of distractory woo for anyone that cares to dip their toe in it.
I guess you're right. He hasn't missed a beat.
Exactly. So he has proposed the question: is Sasquatch a telepathic creature? It says in an article titled, "Has Bigfoot ever spoken to you telepathically?" we learn the following. There have been many stories of telepathic abilities among people who have had an experience with a Bigfoot. And even among those researchers who maybe haven't had this experience themselves, there are many Bigfoot researchers and hunters that believe they have had telepathic, or they have communicated with Bigfoots in what they call mind speak. This can be considered a form of telepathy involving nonverbal communication via thoughts, emotions, impressions, and even images. Many of these people who have experienced this phenomenon believe they become more skilled at receiving and interpreting their communication as the creature becomes more attuned to them. It really isn't that crazy of an idea. Many physicists have proven that animals communicate through extrasensory perception, and furthermore, much of the scientific community also holds the belief that humans can as well. There's absolutely no doubt that one of the most controversial claims within the field of Bigfoot study is that which suggests the creatures are able to converse with us via telepathy, mind-to-mind communication. No one will be surprised to learn that many of those Bigfoot investigators who hold to the idea that Bigfoot is simply an unidentified ape scoff at such theories or possibilities. There is, however, a body of investigators who are not so sure the matter can be relegated to the world of fantasy and hoaxing and nothing else. The Real Psychic Power website notes, Connie Willis, writing for HuffPost, tells of her psychic Bigfoot encounter while on what I believe was an expedition deep into the woods to try and find Bigfoot. She notes that after falling asleep in the pop-up tent she was sleeping in, she was awoken when it began to rock.
Can you
The other
imagine
person,
that, dude? Oh, that. I mean, what do you do at that point? You're in the woods, you're sleeping, and you just the minute you're woken up, Scott, everything dark, tent shaking, grunting. What is going through your mind at that point?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying, man? Whoa.
I mean, that's got to be pretty terrifying in general. I mean, first of all, I mean, if you're out there
thinking
looking
bear,
for
aren't you?
Bigfoot,
You're thinking of bear. Your
yeah,
dinner.
you're thinking, yeah. I mean, even if you're out there looking for Bigfoot, I mean, there's so many hazards out there in the woods. You know, predator animals, bears, you know, mountain lions, whatever. I mean, it's crazy. So yeah, it says so she was awoken when her tent began to rock, and it says the other person in the tent was out cold, and Willis then reported her psychic Bigfoot encounter, and it was quite an encounter. As Willis herself admitted, my body was frozen solid, and then I realized something was standing at the end of where my feet were on the other side of this tent. Tent smelling skinny winny keep you from rain canvas, but no keeping you from big hairy creatures canvas. I felt what I believe were two big beings standing right outside where I was. I then heard what I later learned was called mind speak. Well, here you go. This is what you came to see. Yes, I heard that. So that was what was like transmitted, or what she heard in her. Well, it said, well, here you go. This is what you came to see. She said, yes, I heard that. I now knew what was inches away from me, my chance to see the legendary Bigfoot, and not just one, but two. All I had to do was unzip the window, and I would see them. I could feel them actually waiting for me to make my decision to do it. Then I did. I made my decision. I didn't want to see them. Bigfoot investigator Linda Jo Martin offers the following. My goal as a Bigfoot researcher has always been to learn to communicate with them. I want to create friendship with these forest people, to learn how they think and what they think. For me, psychic ability, ESP, is a valuable tool for Bigfoot research. Even if the forest people have a different language, I can clearly understand them through ESP. For those who may laugh at the idea that animals, and in this case unknown animals, might have psychic skills, there's the following. In 1952, the U.S. Army secretly looked into the matter of teaching dogs to search for deadly landmines on the battlefield. The strangest aspect of the program was that it would explore the feasibility of the dogs using extrasensory perception, ESP, to find the landmines. The Army contracted Dr. Joseph Banks Rhine, PhD, to come on board. The operation progressed quickly according to the documentation, which has been released under the terms of the Freedom of Information Act. Two dogs in particular, named Tessie and Benny, scored very well. And I believe we actually read that exact.
How do you tell the difference between a dog that's like using its nose and using ESP?
Is he telling you?
We remember we were looking over those CIA documents.
Yes,
and they
Benny, do me a favor, Benny. Would you please fill out this questionnaire now that we're complete with today's test?
And they were doing a lot of this research on dogs, and I don't think these were just normal dogs either. I mean, I think these dogs had some kind of a brain implant or a chip.
And Hal Putov was their owner.
Oh, you know what,
was
though?
Was he the dog whisperer?
Around the same time, maybe even a little bit before, the Russians were also doing a lot of experimentation, especially on dogs, where they were removing the head and hooking up life support and keeping the head alive and then transplanting it onto another body.
Yep.
So they were doing head transplants as early as the 40s. And basically had the whole idea of a head transplant worked out. They had it figured out. So that's interesting to know. When we look at how today they're talking about doing these face transplants and these all that stuff was able to have been accomplished many years ago. I guess the stopgate is the fact that your immune system doesn't take kindly to having a different body, basically, or
And
whatever.
I'm sure there was a way that they were able to tell the difference between a dog using its scent and something more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
Or maybe it lights up a different center in the brain, to where they can measure
Yeah.
it with some test equipment.
maybe it might have been, who knows? But animals, I mean, they are. You think about it, they are more attuned to like things going on that they're not like directly seeing things, but they react when they know their owner's leaving, coming home, stuff like that. I've seen experiments. It's weird. And then the Bigfoot being telepathic, that's quite interesting. I've never heard of that before, but why not? You hear about enough alien contactees saying that aliens communicate telepathically. So, yeah.
I've heard the whole telepathic thing with Bigfoot quite a few times, and in quite a few
Same
encounters.
here, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, whoa, you know.
You
So
see something else we got into last night? I'll get your guys' thoughts on this too. But you get the Bigfoot, and this was Tony saying that they throw the stones. You can see them throwing the stones, but then there's other times where you don't see them, but the stones still get thrown. And I was thinking to myself, well, that's exactly what you see in a haunted house as well. Random stones getting thrown places. I've seen it in Boleskine. You see it on multiple paranormal. They call them apports, or aport, APORT, and it's something that just kind of manifests and gets thrown. And you wonder if it's all. This is what we started talking about last night. Then is the Bigfoot and the ghosts and the aliens, and are they all from the same thing, and we're just decoding them different? I don't know. It's all linked together though, like everything else.
well, I definitely think it plays into the whole interdimensional aspect of it,
Yeah.
right? Where, when I initially looked into the Bigfoot stuff, I was just thinking, oh, okay, undiscovered primate, right? Because you kind of just go with that kind of rational scientific explanation for it. But then you start looking into the encounters and a lot of the things going on, and you're like, okay, there's more to it than just some undiscovered ape. Because first of all, why hasn't there been any carcasses found? Why hasn't anybody found any bones? Then you start looking at the accounts of, people saying, that they've shot one, they disappeared, and
Maybe it's a reality show. Maybe like whoever runs the simulation, there's a TV show where they can get uploaded into like Earth World, and they can take on the form of a Wookiee, and they've got like 3 days to scare somebody. And as soon as they get somebody, just beamed out of there, man. Winner, you got one,
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. That's what
What's
I
that
would
like?
do.
What's that like? American Ninja or something like that?
man, you
Only
could
they
go-
do it with.
Joe, you could come with 100 ninjas, 1,000
Oh
ninjas
wow!
if you
The
want.
1,000 ninjas. Yeah.
Exactly, dude. Yeah.
Well, one thing's for certain. I think that these creatures are either interdimensional in nature or have the capability of existing
Well, what
without
about this,
us
Joe?
being able to interpret them.
What about this then? Because you'd have really liked Tony last night because he was talking about the potential for. We talked about the fallen ones, the fallen angels, things like that, the Nephilim, but not just like the product of the mating with women, but the genetic engineering and manipulation that might have gone on with other species on the planet as well.
Right.
And then you start wondering, well, is there something like almost you can splice into the genetics of something that does give it that interdimensional component?
Perhaps.
It's weird, right?
Yeah,
Everything's
perhaps.
on the table. It's woo.
But also, you're talking about pre-flood. You're talking about a civilization that utilized energy differently than we do today, and their say for example, their material sciences and their all of their engineering was totally different than ours. And so it's kind of hard to compare capabilities when there aren't many examples of their capabilities. But what has been left is pretty damn interesting, and shows that while in some aspects they seem pretty primitive in nature, in others they're extremely advanced. And I don't know. They could look at us too, dude, and say, wow, look at these guys on the one side. Look at, they got some pretty cool shit. What's a Lamborghini?
Exactly, dude. No, I
You
agree
know?
with you, man. I agree with you. I get you. Yep.
Hold on, I'm getting a download.
Oh, this could be good. This could be good. At least now he's admitting when he's getting the download, Scott. At least now he's openly telling us he's got a handler. You know?
Yes.
Joe's
Yes.
just getting told what
She
he
said,
can.
nah, she goes, a Lamborghini's about as useless to a being that is about as useless as a tricycle to a being that can teleport.
You're absolutely right, though. You know,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you've mastered interdimensional travel,
Who needs a Lamborghini,
yeah,
right?
something restricted to a couple of 100 miles per hour. Psh. Crap. You know? Who needs a bit of that? But I've got stories here. I've got one. And then we'll go to Joe for your, what's this? The Court of Mysteries? I'm looking forward to getting into that.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
We've got one here. Where are we? Was it that one? No, it's over here. There it is. Strange encounters with bizarre black humanoid entities.
Why do they have to be black?
Exactly. This is what I was joking about during one of the breaks. A very racist title there by Brent Swanser.
Yeah, I'm
But
not
it's
really appreciative of these humanoids and the fact that they have
Nick
kind of
Redfern.
limited their options.
Nick Redfern would have been far more woke with his title. He'd have kept
Absolutely.
it not discriminatory at all. So in the world of the paranormal, there are a variety of different types of encounters with seemingly humanoid entities. Now, some of these are, of course, of ghosts, while others can be of lesser defined phenomena. And some of these truly leave us scratching our heads. Now, among such reports are scattered accounts of encounters with what seems to be pitch black entities.
Hey, hold that 1 second. Hold that 1 second.
Well,
Now,
listen.
see, he's hijacked my imagination and forced my imagination to be racist.
Well, I think now that we're actually midway through the first paragraph, I'm thinking more shadow entity, right?
I'm thinking more racism.
You think so? We'll see if it's
Yeah.
veiled white supremacy in this article, which
Okay.
seems to appear. Would it be interdimensional supremacy? I suppose it would.
Absolutely.
Which seem to appear anywhere and which have the origins and machinations that are inscrutable to us. Now, here is a selection of such strange encounters with black humanoid entities from
Good
beyond
grief.
our understanding. So some of these strange encounters happen out in the wilds, where things are already dark and scary. Well, at least he used dark that time, Joe.
Yeah,
Scary enough as it is without having to worry about pitch black, possibly demonic entities.
See, we're back to black again.
I know. One such story comes to us from Reddit user Justin F. 10,000, who says he had his spooky experience in the woods of Camp Tommy in Fishkill, New York. Now, he says he had been working as a camp counselor at the time of the incident.
This sounds like a bad Boy Scout incident here. Uh-oh.
And that on this evening, he was sneaking out to go meet up with his girlfriend in one of the other cabins. Now, he wasn't supposed to be out, as the cabins were supposed to be locked down after 10 p.m. Ah, that was the days, when you were allowed out till 10 p.m. But he had
Oh,
done this.
yeah.
But he had done this often, and there was no reason to think anything strange would happen this time. But it did anyway, and he explains of what happened as he cut through the forest. So suddenly, I heard rustling in the woods and stopped to investigate it. There are bears, other animals, so I was expecting something like that.
Because that's what you do, right?
Yep.
Is what is this guy like? He's a camp counselor, okay? He is not Tarzan. What in the name of all that is holy is this guy doing? Saying, "Oh, I hear a rustling over there. It sounds a lot like bears. Let me go and look." I mean, are you serious, dude?
This is
You're
how
gonna
people-
go in and
You see, this is how somebody becomes a statistic, Joe.
yeah.
He's lucky it wasn't a bear, and he's lucky it was only a 3-foot humanoid type, or he wouldn't have told us this story. And it suddenly jumped out of the bushes, Scotty.
Well, I was gonna say the whole camp counselor sneaking out to see his
Is
girlfriend.
he a
I mean,
camp counselor, or is he a camp
Yeah.
counselor?
no.
Exactly.
That is totally the beginning to a B-rate horror movie. Just saying.
Absolutely. Or, let's be real. He's a camp counselor. He's probably going out into the woods
Hey.
to touch himself and then go back,
Well, this time he got to touch a 3-foot humanoid type thing, and it suddenly jumped out of the bushes and spooked him and looked at me. It's too dark for me to make out any of its features, other than it was standing on 2 feet, had 2 arms, and basically looked like a miniature person without any features. Just looked solid black. If it had clothes on, I would have been able to notice that. Now, that's pretty weird, because your shadow dudes ain't usually like as physical in front of you standing there.
Right. They're more like wispy, where,
Yeah.
more like a smoky entity.
Well, it goes on. I was really curious what it was, so I started walking towards it. See, again, I sniff an air of fiction about that, because
Same
any
here.
normal man would have been filling his trousers with brown stuff and
Oh,
running in
totally
the opposite
emptied my
direction.
colon.
Yeah, and then deciding on the way back, do you tell your mates that you punched it, or do you just not tell anyone at all?
No, you
Exactly.
just don't say a word.
Yep, and it must have got more spooked because it bolted back into the woods. I'll never forget how mechanical it looked as it took off running too. Its whole body basically shifted 90 degrees, like if somebody was doing the robot dance, and it just took off. I've never seen anything on 2 legs run that quickly, so I was pretty confused about what it was. Now, I'm a pretty fast runner, and a fit person in general, but this thing was on another level of fast. As much as I tried to make sense of it, I still to this day have no idea WTF it was. It was very human. How can you say that? You've no idea what it was, and in the next breath you say it was very
It
human.
was very human. How so?
You've gone
It
from...
was. Wait a minute. It was very human, but too short to be human.
Yeah, and you've gone from absolutely no idea what it was to defining it as human.
What about a halfling?
What about a halfling? Exactly.
Or something like that. Now we're talking about perhaps something with interdimensional capabilities or whatever,
You see, Scott, events like this are wasted on the general public. If it was a man that was steeped in his woo that was going through these forests, we would get a far more accurate description of what we're dealing with here.
Amen to that.
Exactly.
I mean, I guess that's why it's called a humanoid, right? Like it has
Like a
some-
hemorrhoid.
Well, it has human features, but it is not human.
but it is not human.
Oh, trust me, mine ain't human. Are we still talking? What? Okay, right. Okay, we're back to humanoids now. Okay.
How dare you?
I know, Greta. I know too much information. So yeah, we're back to this, right? Where did we get to? Right, really fast runner. I really don't know how a human could run that fast. I've no freaking idea, but it's always bugged me. Maybe one day I will go back and try to find this creature again. Now, I've never heard of a creature like this before. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? But I don't know. It sounds a bit...
Kind of reminds me.
What if it was
the,
somebody like somebody a bit creepy that's got on like one of these like lycra all-in-one kind of really weird suits, and they're like up in a tree in the forest, like just creeping on people. Just a creeper, dude. He fell out the tree and he thought, oh, somebody's seen me in my creepy suit and I need to run off. Before they demask me and shame me on Facebook.
I mean, he was hanging around, like a Boy Scout camp or something.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. You're talking woods, children, and creepy things falling out of bloody trees.
Not good.
No, not good at all. So strange indeed. Another such account comes to us from the wild state, or the wilds of the state of Alabama. And we'll get that on the other side. Yes, we'll go to Alabama after the break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Oh, this is really good this week. We're actually quite productive. Not only are we talking about stories, but we're solving cases. And
Very
we're,
nice.
Yeah,
Very
we're,
nice.
we're like, yeah, I'm liking this. Very much liking this. And of course, we do have your, what is it you sent anyway, Joe?
It's a pretty cool Ripley's Believe It or Not about this temple
Well, I
that
think
was
we should,
built.
yeah, we need this when we come back, because I'm not buying that black entity story. And I think it needs to be punished in some way, so we'll put it to the side for now. We'll come back
This is about a strange temple that was built only at night by the light of the moon with rumored mystic inspiration.
Oh, that was like story last night as well. A guy had told Tony about in the woods one time, and a church just manifested in front of him in the woods.
Wow.
But then just gone again. There 1 minute, not even any time to go in it.
Like those cities that appeared in the sky in China. Remember that?
Very much on a par with that, yeah. Very much, yeah.
Huh.
Very interesting, because even though the church in Stoll has been demolished, people still report that the church, when they drive by, they'll see it, like the church manifest.
Really?
People are asking if Joe thinks he's Popeye now that he's not on camera.
Yes, I'm playing my Popeye routine tonight.
He's actually sitting there naked. I think that while we can't see Joe, the imagination can do, I was going to say wild things, but pretty nasty things.
Absolutely nailed it.
Yep.
How did you
Dang,
guess?
dude. Dang. Yes,
Sorry.
indeedy. Oh, nearly that time, boys. So what we got planned for the weekend anyway? Working, Joe, or are you off the weekend? What's happening? You still working?
Working all weekend, buddy.
Still plenty work?
For me, there is.
Good. That's good, man. There's more and more, you're hearing more and more people getting sent home and...
Oh, absolutely. It's absolutely brutal out there right now.
Yep. Big time. Big time, dude. Ah, the joys of ending one cycle and going into the next one.
Luckily, I am self-employed, so I don't have to worry about any of that. But yeah, it's rough out there for a lot of people, man.
Yep. New world, Sky Boy. Brave new world.
Yeah.
As they call it. Yes, indeedy. So when we come back, we'll get into this weird and wacky temple. I think I like the sound of this one. Far better than the creepy humanoids kicking
Much
about.
much more in line with our shtick, if you will.
Yeah. And then you've got something about a woman who had sex with a what?
A dolphin.
Oh! Consensual?
NASA funded, actually.
All right. Hey, listen. That might have sounded like a really strange kind of question to people there, but you
have to understand who we're talking with here.
Well, topics we have touched on before have...
I think it's a very similar story, if not the same woman.
All right. Okay.
Just so you know.
Okay, well, I'll remember to stay clear of that one then, Scott. Keep them away from dolphins. Right, Joe Joseph, you can't trust them round dolphins.
you know how it is.
I used to love Flipper when I was a kid, man. That was a good show. Here we go.
That was one of my favorite of all time.
It was, dude, it was. Don't want to spoil it for kids out there by going on that story. There he is, the Wookiee. And back for the second half now of Freaky Friday, right here on your #1 network, tfrlive.com. Don't forget Brent Thomas, he will be on the way right after we leave you today. And Joe, I'm quite disgusted at that offering from the mysterious universe on any color of humanoid. I don't care what color of humanoid that was. Not buying it, and I'm
No,
embarrassed.
I'm not buying it either.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed, and I'm moving on so people will forget that non-woo story.
You know what? It happens to be one of those fillers that I think they find from time to time when they're kind of hurting for content. But
They
I
got
will
plenty
say
of time
in
on their hands. They got plenty of time on their hands, Joe. No excuse. No excuse.
I
at
will
all.
say in their defense, though, they have been rather consistent. So I'm not totally pissed off at them, but that was a damn horrible article, if you ask me. Now, this one, on the other hand, is kind of interesting because it's kind of historical based, if you will, but there's a lot of mystery. A lot of mystery surrounding this, and this is Ripley's Believe It or Not.
But
They say
Joe,
when
you
we
can't go in there. Look at the big triangle over the gate,
I'm
dude.
telling you, bro, it's all over the place here. Listen to this. It says, when we think of 1940s America, we think of World War II and big band music, not yoga and Eastern spiritualism, which seemed to belong to the hippie movement of the 1960s and beyond. Yet, in the late 30s or early 40s, a Santa Cruz brick mason named Kenneth Kitchen built a red brick love letter to Hindu folklore and cosmology, utilizing symbols from planets to pyramids, stars, obelisks, and inlaid abalone. He constructed an archway called the Gate of Prophecy.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. You know you've got a pad when you build yourself the Gate of Prophecy, right?
Yeah, it says even empty, the Gate of Prophecy has always held speculation. The exterior supposedly contains hidden symbols, and the triangle on the gate is allegedly said to align with the chimney right before a disaster.
I thought I was going to say a line with summer solstice or something like that, but no, just the chimney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rumor has it that he built the structure only at night by the light of the moon.
Is this like some kind of coral castle thing, Joe?
You know, I don't know. It says just like a ghost kitchen abandoned his magnum opus in 1957 and vanished, never to be seen or heard from again. The property changed hands a few times, but was effectively abandoned by the 1990s, hosting only teen vandals and other campfire building temps. The temple at 519 Fair Avenue had been called the Court of Mysteries, or the Unorthodox Chapel, and Surreal Estate. Now, Artina Morton and Douglas Haar call it home, sort of. It says here, Morton and Haar bought the property in 2016 and have built a home separate from the Yogi Temple, as they call it. They've been stewarding and restoring the historic landmark, bought 1 year after looking at it for the first time. They said that, or Morton says, my husband was very, very drawn to the property, though it was boarded up on their first visit. They came back a year later when a realtor was able to let them in. Morton had reservations about the property and the accompanying feeling that was bound to come from this eerie, decades vacant building. She said, if I walked in that building and there's a weird or negative mojo, I'm not going to be able to sage that away, she told her husband, but I would try for you. Now, any reservations she had tucked away suddenly vanished when the sunshine flooded in through the newly opened doors. It says, the minute I saw the inside of the building, I thought it had this great positive energy to it. The attention to detail in the architecture on the inside is just inspiring. And other people feel really good when they're on the property. Morton thinks it might even be a vortex. Whoa, a place of concentrated spiritual energy. In this case, the energy is on the positive side. Now, it says here that there's also a kismet connection, whichever that means. It says, upon further investigation, it turns out there was a personal, spiritual reason Har was drawn to the property. 2 weeks after buying, the couple had been given a spiral-bound collection of stories and theories, though no certainties, about why Kitchen built this glorious oddity. One theory was that he had come to help his brother Raymond, a stonemason, with some construction work in that area where the brothers owned a fair amount of land. Unfortunately, the Kitchen brothers didn't get along. Raymond told Kenneth that he and his anger problem needed to go find some peace, Morton says, so Kenneth did just that. He went to the Self-Realization Fellowship Center in Los Angeles and learned teachings of the famous yogi Yogananda Paramahansa.
Oh, that dude
Paramahansa.
could pull a pretty mean lotus in his day. I'm telling you, man.
Before returning to Santa Cruz to live in a small shack on his property, he even raised goats to sell dairy products while he built his masterpiece. The couple realized that Har was likely so drawn to the property because his own brother had been a monk at the SRFC. It says, Doug grew up seeing these buildings, Morton said. We thought it was a real kismet thing. Now, it says, written in the stars, there are other stories and theories, of course, that muddle the truth behind this mystery. One claims that Kitchen was in Turkey during World War I and developed his affinity for Eastern and occult philosophies then. Another alleges that during World War II, he also built a device in his backyard that could stop submarines. Damn. Morton favors the tale about Kitchen studying to be a yogi, the one where he felt at peace for the first time in his life. You can sense that when you're on the property, he said. The couple's restoration of this unique space seems to have been as much a labor of love for them as it was for the original builder. Morton has documented much of this process in a blog called The Red Brick Castle that covers the initial detailed work of restoring a beloved landmark to the unexpected find of antique tiles buried under the temple.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool, man.
Hey, I wonder if let's check it out and see if that site, if that blog, oh yeah, there it is, dude. Welcome
Wow.
to the, restoration. Holy moly, that's a beautiful place. Wow.
It really is, dude.
Wow.
You
I
do.
wonder if
I
they
mean, we talk about vortexes. You know, who's to say it's not one of these vortexes? I don't know. It's. I tell you what, it's striking
I'll
me a
tell
bit
you
like
what, I mean-
Oak Island. The kind of work that's gone in here. They've probably got some treasure buried on the property as well.
Yeah. No, but I mean, you look at some of these pictures. Some of the that's involved in this. I mean, holy schmoly, man. And I
Well,
also see the little trailer that I guess his brother lives in too, but just unbelievable. The type of attention to detail in some of these pictures is just striking.
Well, the intent that the guy put into it, I mean, just that alone, that place is going to carry some kind of an energy. You know, I mean, he built it for a reason, and he was very, very focused on his reason for doing it. So just that in itself, I would say, gives that whole area some kind of an energy. But so this guy just, like, what, he abandoned it and then disappeared, or nobody knows where he went?
Never to be seen or heard from again.
That's bizarre, isn't it?
Maybe he
I'd say
Maybe-
there's some wonderful pictures in here each month of their progress. They're really making some unbelievable progress
Yeah,
here.
it's someplace, dude.
Yeah. And some
know,
of
these
the
properties-
detail is just unbelievable stonework.
I mentioned to you the other day, Joe, I don't know if you managed to check out. I've not seen it yet. Maybe you've seen it, Scott, but there's a new history show on about Skinwalker Ranch. And they're talking about, I think it's Travis Taylor, that's the scientist that's on the show. He's done the Tesla files, he's been to Oak Island. Pretty cool cat. gonna try and get him on the show because I heard him speaking to Richard Dolan last week. And he couldn't go into too much detail because it was only episode 1 coming out just after they had finished speaking. But it sounds like that they've like got some evidence of some time anomalies going on, time slips, time weirdness on Skinwalker Ranch. And it used to be
Oh.
Bigelow that owned that place, but now it's got some new owner or something, and they're tackling it with science. So I don't know. Episode 1's out there, but I thought that was quite interesting. And this mentions some kind of vortex. And Skinwalker Ranch, I mean, when you start looking into it, and I'm no expert on it, but that really piqued my interest. So I've dipped my toe a little bit further into it, and I tell you what, you talk about a place full of woo. But that show that they reckon anyway, or at least reading between the lines, it sounds like there's a bit of time woo going on there.
Well, I mean, Bigelow bought it because he was fascinated
Yep.
with what was going on there, and he wanted to try and explain what was going on. And Bigelow he's part of the military-industrial complex, right? I mean, he runs.
But he's the one that got the money from the ATIP program, right? Because that's
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and he's in with To the Stars Academy. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, for him to buy the ranch and show so much interest in it is quite telling, I think.
I
that-
think we should live somewhere like Skinwalker Ranch. How cool would that be, Joe? We used to laugh and joke about Bohemian Grove and stuff like that, but can you imagine it? Just, I don't know, dude, it'd be
Yeah, it'd be
a world
another
away from the world.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the last place that tried that was called Waco. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? Yes, indeed.
I agree in a way.
It is, dude. The minute you start coming up with your own ideas and doing what they done, getting tooled up, then you got problems, right? Yes, indeedy.
Yeah.
So what else have we got here? What else we got kicking about on the table for today? What's this website like, Joe?
I was just gonna say that this place, though, it does kind of sound like the Coral. Was it the Coral Castle?
Yeah.
That was built.
Yeah, the one in Florida.
The guy, built that thing, and wasn't there like a lot of like astrological alignments and stuff? with
Not
the
just
Coral
that,
Castle?
he built it with like,
Yeah.
he done it. Nobody knows how he done it really. It's like,
Yeah,
how do you do that without any cranes or like heavy lifting equipment? I just did. It's got to be,
I mean,
be harmonics or
but-
acoustics or something, right? He's got to have figured that out.
Yeah.
I would say something drew him to that area for which to build his, especially considering the fact that he was so tuned into the Eastern type of thing, and that really is heavy on that, on the ley lines, on the energies, the Reiki, if that kind of stuff. There is a lot of dealing with frequency and harmonics. So yeah, probably. I think that have a big thing. I wonder too if that played a role in the way that he designed it, like the architecture of the building. If it doesn't resonate in some way, or if it doesn't conduct in some way, you know what I mean? Because they say that when they got to the property, that it felt like it magnified the positive energy. So that could be like a manifestation of the result of the engineering and the craftsmanship that went into it. Probably by design, I guess, in some way.
Yep. Sorry, I was just taking a drink there, but Coral Castle, yeah, that's a weird one. But then, you think of Coral Castle and lifting rocks and doing things, and you can't get your head away about thinking about the pyramid again, right? Because I know the
Well,
pyramid.
very much so.
Yeah, I know the pyramid's obviously a grander scale than than Coral Castle, but it just shows you how you can get seemingly things that one man shouldn't be able to do done on your own. So I don't know. I think there is a connection there somewhere. But why doesn't people like that? I mean, why didn't he share why he done that, Joe? I mean, why keep that to yourself if you figure out, you know, maybe the frequency or something, some new technique, some way of doing something? Why not tell people?
Maybe he was given knowledge, and maybe was instructed not to tell.
That's a good point. Never thought
Maybe,
about it
I
that
don't
way.
know. You know, I don't know. Maybe.
It's a bit of a weird one, dude. Bit of a weird one. Now, dare I go back for another? There's Scotty boys back. I'm saying, dare I go back to the strange humanoids? That's the question. We'll try one more, right? We'll just
Oh,
one
I have
more.
something here.
Oh! Excellent! You saved us from the strange humanoids.
Yeah, let's do a little tech news. I'm going to put this in the box here. There's a new laser technique that is allowing for more powerful and smaller particle accelerators.
Oh,
Yes.
great! More portals. Excellent.
It says by
That's just what
observing
we need.
electrons. This is by observing electrons that have been accelerated to extremely high energy, scientists are able to unlock clues about the particles that make up our universe. Accelerating electrons to such high energy in a laboratory setting, however, is a bit challenging. Typically, the more energetic the electrons, the bigger the particle accelerator. For instance, to discover the Higgs boson, the recently observed God particle responsible for mass in the universe, scientists at the CERN laboratory in Switzerland used a particle accelerator nearly 17 miles long. But what if there was a way to scale down particle accelerators, producing high-energy electrons in a fraction of the distance? Well, in a paper published in Physical Review Letters, scientists at the University of Rochester's Laboratory for Laser Energetics outlined a method to shape intense laser light in a way that accelerates electrons to record energies in very short distances. The researchers estimate the accelerator would be 10,000 times smaller than a proposed setup recording similar energies, reducing the accelerator from nearly the length of Rhode Island to the length of a dining room table. With such a technology, scientists could perform tabletop experiments to probe the Higgs boson, or explore the existence of extra dimensions and new particles that could lead to Albert Einstein's dream of a grand unified theory of the universe. It says the higher electrons, or the higher energy electrons, are required to study fundamental particle physics. Says John Plastro, scientist at the LEE and the paper's lead author. Electron accelerators provide a looking glass into subatomic world inhabited by the fundamental building blocks of the universe. Now, while this research is currently theoretical, the LLE is working to make it a reality through plans to construct the highest powered laser in the world at the LLE. The laser, to be known as EPOPAL, will allow the researchers to create the extremely powerful sculpted light pulses and technology described in the paper. The electron accelerator outlined by the researchers relies on a revolutionary technique for sculpting the shape of laser pulses so their peaks can travel faster than the speed of light. This technology could allow electrons to be accelerated beyond what is possible with current technology, says Dustin Frola, a senior scientist at the LLE and one of the paper's authors. In order to sculpt the laser pulses, the researchers developed a novel optic setup resembling a circular amphitheater with wavelength-sized steps used to create a time delay between the concentric rings of light delivered from a high-powered laser. A typical lens focuses each ring of light from a laser to a single distance from the lens, forming a single spot of high-intensity light. Instead of using a typical lens, however, the researchers use an exotically shaped lens, which allows them to focus each ring of light to a different distance from the lens, creating a line of high intensity rather than a single spot. And when this sculpted light pulse enters a plasma, a hot soup of freely moving electrons and ions, it creates a wake similar to the wake behind a motorboat. This wake propagates at the speed of light. Much like a water skier riding in a boat's wake, the electrons that accelerate as they ride in the wake of a sculpted laser light pulses. These laser wake field accelerators were first theorized nearly 40 years ago and were advanced by the invention of chirped pulse amplification, a technique developed by LLE, 2018 Nobel Prize recipient Donna Strickland and Jared Moreau. Previous versions of the LWFA, however, used traditional unstructured light pulses that propagated more slowly than the speed of light, which meant the electrons would outrun the wake, limiting their acceleration. The new sculpted light pulses enable faster than light speeds, so electrons can ride the wake indefinitely and be continually accelerated. This work is extremely innovative and would be a game changer for laser accelerators, said Michael Campbell, director of the LLE. This research shows the value of theoretical and experimental plasma physics working closely together with outstanding laser scientists and engineers. So, interesting, guys, using laser sculpted light tunnels basically can accelerate electrons faster than the speed of light.
Yeah. No, not very impressive when you think about it. They done this in Ghostbusters years ago, Scott. I seen them running about with little laser-powered electron things.
Bah!
Yeah, bah. But not when you got down to the bottom there. It's if anyone heard all the shows we done about, remember the Awake machine at CERN? That
Yeah,
was
very much
plasma.
so.
Yeah, that was
Plasma.
plasma and ripples. Yep. So it's pretty much just the same as that, but pretty cool. And if it makes them smaller and more labs can do more tests and it leads to more new cool inventions, brilliant. But
Closer
again,
and closer to the desktop particle accelerator.
Again, though, are we like living then in a simulation that looks like Swiss cheese, Scott? Are we blowing holes in dimensions here, there, and everywhere, willy-nilly, unaware of it, you know?
I'm just picturing the mad scientist. He's like, yeah, let me show you my invention. Yeah, with his crazy hair, and he's got the particle accelerator on his desk, and he pushes the button, and the guy next to him kind of blips out, and then except for his arm, and it's like, oops, I'll reconstruct you later.
This is how the chronovisor gets started, Scott. This is like a critical component to any chronovisors, a LWFA. Anyone that's worth his weight in flux capacitors should know that.
So, I mean, they're also basically admitting that we can go beyond the speed of light, or that it's possible to go beyond the speed of light, because they're pretty much saying that they're going to be accelerating stuff faster than the speed of light, as if, that's not really a barrier anymore. How
much mass does an electron have, though? Long's a piece of string. Joe's working out like that.
Yeah, sure. I'm heavy at work here, trying to figure it out.
I'm just trying to single one out and just wait on the fly. Yes.
First, I must observe it.
Yeah, indeed. Now, I remember, because they do say that speed of light thing, if you've got mass and you go speed of light, you end up gaining more mass. But I think what happens when you're down at that scale, the electron gets potential mass, and then when it reaches its critical mass, it's a whole world of weird woo down at the quantum level. And then you think to yourself, electrons, I mean, everything's made up of electrons, right? Everything. Electron, an up quark, a down quark, everything's got that in it. And here we are now firing these little things. Again, I go back to my default position for shaved monkeys. We've come pretty far. It's pretty cool that we can do all this stuff. Who knows what it all means, but 40,000 years ago, coming out of Africa or whatever it was, I think we've come a long way. You can accelerate electrons and open portals to other dimensions. Maybe the other dimensions don't even exist. Maybe we've just created them in our heads just for something to do. Because it sounds cool and it
Well-
makes the math work, Scott.
Here's the question: have we come a long way, or are we simply coming back around to where we were?
Oh, yes. I think we're just coming back around. Like that. What do they call it? The Möbius strip. That loop that comes back round on itself, but because it's coming back round on itself, you can't quite tell it's a loop you're on. Yeah.
Mobius loop.
That's the one, dude. That's the one. Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. That was Joe dropped in there. We'll get that on the other side. I've just noticed the time. We're going to the break. We've got 1 hour left to go on Freaky Friday. It's 2 a.m. over here in the UK. So a big shout out to everyone in the UK for hanging with us. It's getting really late. It's getting way, way, way into the witching hours. We're going to turn up the creep factor when we come back. Yes, indeed. No, I'm not going to be talking about Bill Gates, although he is a very creepy man. But we'll be getting into a lot more woo when we come back after these messages. Don't go anywhere. Yes, indeed. What are you sending, Joe? What is this you're sending?
It's some good.
It wasn't
Google-
for you. It was for Scott.
Is it for Scott, Joe? Is it for Scott?
Yeah, that's why it says for Scott.
There you go. There you see. I didn't see that bit, dude. My bad.
My.
I know.
pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, I can convert any freaking picture to a painting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is part of the Google's AI AI stuff where they've had it scan like paintings and stuff from famous artists, and it trained the AI to recognize that style of painting. So you could take a photograph, upload it to Google or whatever, and say you wanted it to look
Wow.
like a Van Gogh painting. Well, the AI knows by scanning all of Van Gogh's works how he paints, the brush strokes, the style, kind of the general color palette that he likes to use and all of that, and then it will apply it to your photo and make it look like a Van Gogh photo or whatever artist.
How do you like that shit, Kev? Anything you want.
Pretty
You
cool,
know? Unreal.
There's a really, really cool program that I was gonna mess with. I haven't had a chance to mess with it yet. Let me look. I have it in my apps here, but it's based off the same sort of deep learning or AI technology, but what it will do, it's called EB Synth, and you could take a little bit of video, right? So say you have a little bit of footage of, say, your kids playing or something. You can take one frame of that footage and say you trace over it or color over it, like you turn that frame into a cartoon, with
Right.
whatever style. It will scan that one frame and the art style of that frame, and then it will go through the entire video and it will apply that art style to the entire video.
Holy
And so-
moly.
So your video will look like a painting in motion,
Wow. How do you
Um,
like that?
and it's all based off of AI. Using your video card CUDA cores too.
And we wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for Kev Baker.
Oh, nearly that time. Oh, thought I'd missed our time. I thought I'd missed our cue. Oh, no. I didn't
Did you
say...
just say what I think you said?
Oh,
How dare you?
no. No, not really, because like a CUE, that kind of cue, like a snooker cue. Like,
Okay, okay, all right.
dang, boys, dang. Almost there.
Even the Wookiee was upset. He was like yelling.
Even Greta was upset. Here we go, here we go. I'm gonna touch that Wookiee in its inappropriate place. You ready, Wookiee? You ready? You ready? There he is. The Wookiee, man.
See what happened was Kev's Doctor Strangelove hand made its way to the Wookiee.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just kind of out of control. It just does things, you know. You don't want to get. Not that we can get close these days, but definitely over arm's reach. You'll be safe with me. If you're in the TFR chat room, I hope you're keeping a safe distance there. I want 6 lines between everyone's text. You know, social distancing. We've got to maintain it, folks. But we are going into the last hour of today's show. So then, gentlemen, ladies, I don't know if we're going to go back into this this Google article that you've got here, Joda. We've got strange humanoids. We've got Loch Ness. Where do we go, gents? Where do we go? Nobody knows. Close
Wherever,
our eyes and stick a pin in it.
let's go back to the humanoids. I want to give.
You want to give the humanoid another go? You want?
Yes.
Will we give it another go? Okay then. We'll give it another go.
I want to give Mysterious Universe a chance to redeem itself. We just can't.
Okay. Strange indeed. Another such account. Oh, that's right. The wilds of Alabama. That's where we were heading to. Where Reddit user AMPWRS says that she had a rather bizarre experience just after an evening riding around in his 4x4 truck through a wooded area. Now, on their way back, they apparently ran out of gas and were forced to push the truck to a secluded parking area where they decided to sit and take a rest before deciding what to do next. It was as they sat there that the witness looked up and saw something strange in the solitary security light of the parking lot. And here is what happened next. So he goes on to say, standing there no more than 10 feet in front of us and directly in clear view, under the security light was a horrible creature. I froze up and just remained as silent as I could. And then my buddy screams out loudly. Now that's when this thing noticed us and jumped, turning in our direction. Now it immediately ran off in an awkward, lanky fashion and ducked behind a tree. It then peeked around the back, or the tree, back towards us, and then sprinted off towards the woods, where it disappeared. That's when I said, "Did you see that?" My friend immediately described exactly what it was that I just witnessed down to detail. A solid, black, bipedal creature with shiny, tight skin. It had an elongated head and no face.
Whoa.
This is getting weird. It did have facial bone structure, but no orifices, and no mouth, no nostrils, and no eyes. You could see every bone in its body, and it was slightly hunched. That's weird, huh? It had a long, dangling, pointy fingers. Now the creature,
Wow.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Okay, see now look, see, we gave it a chance that this is redeeming itself because that was a pretty.
And now we've got not one but 2 separate reports of this solid black entity.
It almost sounds. That almost sounds very
Very
it rake?
rakish, yes. But
Yeah,
the rakes are
except-
usually all white, right?
Yeah, as I say, but this is just like a black rake, which is interesting.
Very. Now, the creature apparently then ran off into the night and was not seen again. What was this thing? Who knows? Now, not all of these encounters happen out in the middle of nowhere. Another tale comes to us from a soldier in the US Army, who at the time was at the sprawling 94,000 acre Fort Sill in Lawton, Oklahoma for training exercises. And he says that on this evening he was on fire watch duty, which was basically a pretty boring detail according to him. However, on this evening it would prove to be anything but boring. He goes on to say, one Saturday I had fire watch. No big deal, I decided to chill in my room for most of it and make myself be seen every now and then. We had a gym below the main floor, and we would spend a lot of time in that gym. Firewatch was sometimes tasked with cleaning it up. There was a small walled off section though, so it used to contain an electric chair. Now I'm still unsure on the history of the building that we're at, but it was next to a large cemetery, and we would hear the occasional creepy story about the building and the electric chair. So anyway, I digress. That night I was asked to clean the gym and then to mop third deck. And at the time, no one lived on third deck. My buddy and I cleaned the gym, then we walked up the stairs to mop. He mopped from the end to the middle, and I proceeded to mop the rest of the way to the stairs. We finished mopping, and my friend went back to go skate in his room while I told duty we were done. I walked back up the stairs to grab the mop bucket, and I got up there and I realised somebody had walked all over the floor that we had just mopped. So I looked down the hallway. When I did, I saw a human-like figure, except it was black. The blackest black I've ever seen. And I felt this wave of uncertainty and fear wash over me. Something that I've never felt before. So I sprinted down the stairs, ran to my room, waking my roommate up. He thought I was messing with him when I told him what had happened. Now after that, I never saw the figure again while I was there, and it was honestly one of the most disturbing experiences of my life. Now, in the army, I tell you what, you must have seen something to go and tell your mate that, because you ain't ever going to live that down. You're always going to be that dude. You know what I'm saying, Scott? So
Yeah.
that must have moved that guy so much, he never thought about that. He was petrified right down to his mate. I tell you, it might not make sense to anyone, but trust me, Joe, if it'd been on the ship, you don't go running down to your roommate or your whatever it is that you have in the Navy. I don't know what you're doing in those rooms of yours, those bunk beds. Hey, it's the Navy, it happens. Whatever, but you don't turn over and cuddle the guy and tell him, oh, I just seen a wee black entity running about down the mess hall, do you?
No, that's not typically the way you would handle things. No.
See? Told you. See? You didn't even deny it, Scott. You had every opportunity there to deny all of my accusations and things I was trying to throw out there, but no.
It's not gay if it's underway, Kev. It's only queer at the pier.
Oh, wow. Wow. I like it, dude. I like it. A man with morals. I like that. What in the world was going on here? Was it a ghost, his imagination, or something else altogether? On occasion, such entities are seen around more residential areas, or even more creepily, within homes. One account from Your Ghost Stories supposedly happened in 2008 in the US state of Connecticut, with the witness saying that the strangeness began when he woke up one evening to find a strange presence in his room. A few seconds after awaking, I felt the sensation of something gripping my heart and squeezing it to the point where it was painful. For me to admit pain, actual pain, with what I've gone through in terms of getting hurt playing sports, means that it was something really bad. Also, I don't wake up at those hours of the morning anymore without a reason I'm aware of. A dream, having to go to the bathroom, or something along those lines. And when I woke up for this, there was no immediate cause that I can remember that forced me to wake up. All I remember is waking up. Now, in the corner of my bedroom, there was a black shadow, darker than my room, that appeared to be a humanoid, but somehow didn't really have a shape. Oh, this is more shadowy, I'm thinking.
Mm.
It never looked direct, or I never looked directly at it, but only looked at it out the corner of my eye, which is unusual because I always look at unusual objects and things. I do remember it seemed to reach out toward me at one point, and all I did was curl up in a ball and start praying. Now, that's a more realistic response as opposed to slowly getting out of bed to go and investigate the shadow in
Absolutely.
the corner, you know? Definite. A minute or two after I started praying, I felt the pressure in my chest release, and with it came a profound calmness I've never had before, and I've managed to maintain a piece of that calmness ever since. And my house is not haunted, nobody ever died in it, and there's no ancient Indian graveyard underneath it. I've no explanation for what happened, and I don't think, a house has to have some
No,
kind.
I-
Yeah, I think
I was
these
just
things
about
can
to
get in
say.
anywhere, right?
Well, I was just about to say maybe this was an entity that may have been tied to him, and was looking to possibly possess him or harm him in some way. And when he engaged in that prayer, he cast it out, or he caused it to leave, leave him alone. But no, I mean, if he's like, well, the house has never been haunted or anything like that. Well, these things can be tied to people. They're not just tied to one specific. They don't have to be tied to a specific location. So, yeah, this definitely sound more shadow entity, um, kind of an experience that he had. Definitely, pretty wild.
Yeah, that one sounds more shadowy to me, I must admit. We'll go back. There's just a little bit to go here. We might as well finish this one up now. Where are we? So this one, it says, this sounds like it could almost be a case of the phenomenon of sleep paralysis, wherein the witness will find themselves in a sort of limbo state between sleep and wakefulness, and experience extremely vivid dreamlike hallucinations, but it's hard to say. Now, another Reddit user says that he and several acquaintances were plagued by a string of sightings of these black entities in the vicinity of where he lived at an undisclosed location within the United States. So I'm liking that. The fact he doesn't even give away where he's staying. He says that within a month, he and several others spotted petite black humanoids standing only around 4 feet tall, lurking about the area. In most of the cases, we all witnessed the same style of humanoid, around 3.5 to 4 foot tall and pitch black, meaning that no features were even seen on the thing. They would walk, run extremely fast, and were only seen at night time, sometimes even passing through street lights, yet their bodies got no lighter than when they were in the dark. They were always a pitch black. They were spotted all in the same 2 blocks of each other, mostly standing in the alleys, once sitting in a tree, up a tree again, on someone's front porch, and even in a bedroom. The most seen together was only 2, meaning that they mostly travelled alone, while most of them seemed to simply be watching. There was one incident where the being was slightly different. It was probably 1.5 feet taller, but hunched over and could drop on all 4s and sprint away faster than any animal or person that I've ever seen.
And there you go.
That's weird, man. That is weird.
Yeah, and then it kind of went back to the whole kind of rape description too. The on all 4s.
Yep.
With that last one, but when I hear about these, when they describe how they're pitch black and like no light even reflects off of them in any way whatsoever. I mean, even when you have something that's painted black or a black surface, you do get some reflection, some light that does bounce off. It reminds me of this new material that they just invented or came up with called Vanta Black. Have you ever looked at that? I believe it absorbs almost all light. It does not reflect any light back, and it's so weird whenever you see something covered in Vanta Black, because you can't discern. It's so weird. It's very strange. I don't know. People would have to actually see it, but they even did a thing in I think it was like an art exhibit or something, where they made a hole and they covered it in Vanta Black, and some guy like accidentally fell into it because there's like no frame of reference, no perspective, because no light reflects off of it. So
It's weird, huh?
it's what these things sound like. It's almost like they're covered in Vanta Black, that no light can reflect off of them. Very strange.
I definitely don't fancy seeing one, that's for sure. So it says there are cases along these lines reported from countries other than the US as well. And one comes to us from a Reddit user who says he had his experience while living in a rural village in Germany in 2003. Now, at the time, he was on his way back from a church service when he saw something very outlandish standing in a side alley. And he goes on to say, in a side street, under a lighted street lamp, stood this thing. It was completely black with no face and no clothes. It was just tall, like about 2 meters, and the creature's arms reached below its knees. It just stood there in silence, and as I saw it and realized that it can't be a human, I was frozen to fear and couldn't stop looking at it till it made a step in my direction. In this moment, I ran like hell to the house of my parents without turning around. It didn't get me or something, but I was in extreme fear. I never talked to anyone about this because I feared that people would laugh about me. But I saw it, and it still haunts me, or still haunts my thoughts now and then. Fortunately, I never saw it again. In summary, the thing was completely black and had no details. There was no face, no colours, no nose shape, no eyes. It had normal proportions except the knee-long arms. It was very thin and approximately 2 meters tall. It made no sound, and I have the feeling that it was a he. Oh, you can't go assuming the gender of a unknown cryptid like that, Scott.
It's
Weird,
Mothman.
Weird, dude. Weird. So another account is from a witness on Your Ghost Stories who lives in the Philippines. And she explains that this happened when she was in college living with 4 housemates at an apartment near the university. It was here where they would all be menaced by a very strange entity indeed. And the witness says, one afternoon at around 4 or 5, one of our housemates, which was also my classmate and batchmate, was eating her dinner while I was sitting in the middle of the living room facing the mirror, and my sister was in the living room watching TV. So as the area is an open space and is just divided by some sort of study table or chairs, can't remember the divider we used, all 3 of us are basically within the same room and can clearly see each other. Now after a while, I saw a tall, dark figure sort of peeping at us from the kitchen sink area. Told you, Scott, we also have to keep in the running here is really creepy people in all-in-one black lycra suits. I'm telling you, man, we can't rule that out.
We've got a bunch of creepers running around wearing Vanta Black suits.
Long-time lurker. Long-time lurkers. Only now and again seen. So it says here, yeah, after a while she's seen it. There's a thick supporting foundation just before the sink, the L-shaped area. And there was a tall, dark thing hiding by it. I can see its face, hair, one arm, and a left leg and a foot, but the other parts are not visible, as it seems to be... Wow! What a fright I got there!
You lift our hearts, Kev. You're the best.
Oh, thank you very much, Connie. Thank you very much. Dude, I'm going to have to watch that back. I literally jumped there. I totally...
Yeah, I had my camera off for a second. That startled me too. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa, that was so bizarre. Oh, compose yourself, Kev. Dang. I thought something had jumped out of me, you know what I'm saying here. But this one's different, Scott. This one's got a face. It sounds more defined than the other stories we've been listening to, right? Right? I mean, it does sound different.
Yeah, there is a different, because everything else was like you said, there was no defined
Yeah,
feature.
this has got the white of the eyeballs and things. I don't think this qualifies. I don't think that this really does sound more like a creeper.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
somebody snuck into their little pad there and was...
Well, we can move on from there, but that's a bit weird, dude. I mean, we deal with the men in black, obviously, the shadow people, you got the black-eyed kids, but I can't ever think of solid black humanoid entities. I can't think of that. I've never come across it.
It really is bizarre. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I mean, obviously there's it seems like there's a difference between the solid black entities and like shadow entities, you know. And I think what was it, the one in Alabama
Yeah.
was the most kind of creepy sounding, because he said it had no face, an elongated skull, and that it was completely dark, but it was like it had like a shiny sheen to it, you know. That would freak me out if I saw something like that.
Oh, you better believe it. I got freaked out by the noise of trumpets playing. Well, I hope I forgot what 3 foot tall humanoid. Bearing in mind I'm just over 3 foot tall myself, Scott.
Makes me think of like the skin on a xenomorph from Aliens. You know what I mean? That dark, shiny sort of...
I think it's like some kind of like crack unit of like greys, but they've got a uniform. It could be, dude. Who knows? A black uniform.
Remember the original, was it Independence Day movie, right? They were like little grays that were inside of like some kind of organic exo suit that's cracked open. Yeah.
Biological vehicle.
Yes.
I reckon we'd make a couple of good crazy scientists, Scott. A couple of good bad guys. We come up with some crazy ideas. And we're fans of the Game of Thrones. Can't ever forget that. Yep. Anyway, we are almost on the break. You can tell it's getting towards 2:30 a.m. over here in the UK. I want to thank everyone out there for tuning in. But if you're in the UK, special shout out. That sleep deprivation thing, that's going to start kicking in with me in a moment, Scott. The first time, they force you into sleep deprivation in the army. And I must admit, the first time I experienced it, big man, the first thought that this crazy little Scotsman had was, wow, free drugs. I mean, I'm telling you, dude, there's nothing quite like being sleep deprived for... holy shimoly, man. You want time passing differently, and that's a paranormal experience.
Yes, as somebody who deals with chronic insomnia, I totally know what you're talking about. And
My good
yeah, when
friend Kev Nacy says I'm taller than him. He's in a wheelchair. Well, you see, I'm probably about the same size as you then. Probably. I'm usually up to about the handles in a wheelchair. All right, I'm a bit taller than that. I'm only joking. I'm a bit, just a little bitty taller. But yeah, I tell you what, although it's getting late into or early into the morning here, feels like this has gone really quickly, Scott. What about you?
time is accelerating. Well, and plus time flies when you're having fun and stuff like that. But I think this goes back to this whole thing of just seems like time is going by quicker in general.
Time
holy
has hit
crap.
the curve. Time's hit the curve, man. It's gone exponential.
Yes, it's exponential. And I mean, we're in April already. Isn't that crazy to think about?
I know, 420 around the corner. Not long. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Or as Jimmy Jeans keeps reminding me, every day is 420 in Jimmy Jeans land. Especially this year. It is April.
This year, it really is. Yeah.
There you go, folks. We'll be back after these really cool messages. Don't go anywhere. There we go. Now, I'm going to be on tomorrow. It's going to be a really late/early start if you're in the UK. But Popeye's going to be joining me tomorrow. And it's going to be a pretty big show, actually. I'm just going to get it up here. Hang on now. Yeah, I like keep people waiting there, Scott. Build that kind of...
How dare you?
Shut it, Greta. So, coming on is going to be Stuart Rhodes, Oathkeepers. You'll know him, Scotty boy. I mean, I've seen him many's a time, gracing the studio of InfoWars. So yes.
Yes.
Following in my hero's footsteps. Alex. No, he's actually going to be coming on with John Shirley. So that's Popeye, Stuart Rhodes, and John Shirley. That's tomorrow, 3 a.m. in the UK. But if you're in the US, that's 10 p.m. on the East Coast and 7 p.m. on the West Coast. And they'll be talking about the current situation, I would imagine, that's going on in the USA right now. So yeah, I kind of came out of nowhere, that one. But Popeye, he kind of sent me some stuff through the other day. And yeah, that'll be a good one.
Yes, it will be very, very, very interesting to see what their take on all of this is, and what Oathkeepers is, what they're doing, and all that. So yeah, big show indeed.
And when we get back after the break, we're gonna have some mysterious vanishings of hunters and fishermen. There's not a thing where fishermen go missing, is there, Scott? Like Fisherman 411. That's a good name for a show if there is, though, right?
I mean, but I guess there's a lot of...
Never thought about it.
Never thought of it, but think about it. Yeah, people go missing out on the lake and all of that.
I've got a recent story about it. And it's it's David Paulides. It is.
Oh.
Yes. Joe's dealing with some crazy weather right now. Crazy wind, he says. So either it's bad weather or he's had chili. You never know, Joe.
But weather's been crazy here in the U.S. past week, so...
Oh, crazy weather here. They're saying, they're threatening us with nice weather this weekend, Scott. But of course, we can't go out. Nobody's going out this weekend. Remember, be good little people. Be good little flowers. Sit
or you're
going to
get a sternly worded letter, Kev. Oh, Is that the said sternly worded letter?
By decree. Yes.
By decree.
By decree. Yes, that is my sternly worded letter.
Hey, so oh my gosh, this is crazy. So, what kind of letter did thouest receiveth?
One telling me that I am on the NHS's vulnerable list, and along with
Really?
that comes a lot of criteria. Here we go. We're going back to the network. Here we go. There we go. Oh, yes, indeedy. Dropping in for the final segment of Freaky Friday. Scott Lopez is here. Joe Joseph, he is
Whee!
living in kite flying weather over there, Joe. Yeah, I was just, yeah, just it should really come on a scroll.
My neighbor has this kind of tall fence, and there's 6x6s that for fence posts, which are pretty damn big, you know. This wind just snapped 3 of them.
Whoa.
I mean, so 6x6s, yeah.
That's
That kind of flicker in and out. So
whoa.
Let's check the radar for Mr. Joe Joseph's area. See what's going on.
Yeah, so
Well,
Joe, I've
yeah,
had my
they're just these wind whipping things, you know. It's not even like it's raining. It's just like drizzle.
It's weird, dude. We're getting good weather
But
over
just
here,
these-
which is
These
weird in
crazy
itself.
wind gusts. Yeah,
Like I say, good weather for flying kites.
it is very much so. You know, when was the last time you actually flew a kite?
Dude, I used to love it, but no, not since I was like since I was literally a kid.
Yeah,
Can't remember
I
doing
think
it. I
so
think I
too.
remember buying one with Kevin when he was younger. But if I remember rightly, I had about as much interest in flying a kite as not much interest.
when was the last time that you were around or did anything sort of resembling flying a kite, Scotty?
Actually, like probably around 10 years ago or something.
So quite a long time.
Yeah, we flew a kite in the front yard, and then it got stuck in a tree, and then
Why
had a
fly a
storm
kite now,
movement.
though, Scott, when you can get a drone, right? You know, kids would rather have a drone. You don't want to be that kid in school that's got a kite while
I
all your
don't
friends have
know.
got
I mean,
drones, right?
There's something to like that
I know
$3
that. I
kite
know
you
that,
get at
dude.
Wally
We know
World.
that.
And
We know that, Joe. But the world's a different place now, man. You don't want your
It is.
picture on social media. All your classmates seeing you out there flying your kite. Dude, that's like,
The old
whoa.
thing. What's the old saying when you want someone to like bugger off? You know, go fly a kite.
go fly a
Soon
kite.
kids will
Yeah,
go.
I know, but now it's like go fly a drone.
Yeah,
That's what you're saying is the
Pretty
new
much.
terminology.
pretty much. Well, I don't know, dude, but it's pretty much more the done thing than kites, right?
Is that the woke thing to do now?
I don't know if it's a woke thing to do. I suppose if you like started assigning a gender or identifying as a drone, that would be kind of woke.
I guess this would explain Joe's little windy situation out there. I'm looking at the satellite, and there appears to be, well, what looks like a gigantic storm system pinwheeling off the coast in the Atlantic. It almost looks like a hurricane, but it's not. So, yeah, that probably.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
And if it was the 1980s, it would be good kite weather.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, it was.
Couple of generations from now, they'll dig up a kite.
Are you saying people
black-
just don't fly kites anymore?
What was this thing? This is like some kind of unbiological bird that we have uncovered here.
As if, yeah, it's like I wonder if people will even know or remember the story of Ben Franklin and flying his kite and discovering electricity.
Dude, maybe one day, like 3 or 4, I don't know, 5 generations away. Maybe an airplane will be like what they used to like get in like a tube and like fly places.
They'll
What
be
were
like,
these
no.
cavemen all about?
They'll be like, no. Oh, that is MH370. Oh, yeah.
I still believe that turned up somewhere, dude. Ever watch that TV show Manifest? That really gets you thinking, I'm telling you. It turns up. They think they've just had some turbulence on the flight, as you do. And they'll
Next
land.
thing you know,
Yeah,
like,
they land and there's a big FBI presence and there's people getting held back. And what the heck, man? We're just back from our holidays, only back from Jamaica or wherever they are. Oh, no, you're not. It's been 5 years since you took off. And your plane disappeared. Who knows? Could happen, Scott. Could happen. It did happen.
that would be some badass. That'd be awesome.
How do they tell you that? I mean, how do like if the, I mean, how do you tell the families and things that? I mean, what? Sorry, you know, one of Scotty's like blue Sprite things, it ripped a hole in the fabric of space and time. Right.
What was
right,
that? What was the Tom Hanks movie with Wilson? Where you talk and he was stranded?
Castaway.
Castaway, right? So wouldn't that be about as good simulation of that? You know, there's a guy that basically survived on an island for all that time and then comes back and his life is totally upended. His fiance that he was going to marry is now married to somebody else with a kid and all this stuff. And here he is. That was the whole thing that got him through and made him survive. And now look at what happened, you know, that kind of stuff. Could you imagine coming home and having your life turned upside down instantly like that? Like you left having a great vacation and everything else, and you come back and boom, life totally destroyed.
Oh,
Upended.
that TV show really depicts that quite well, Joe. I think, you know, because everyone else has moved on. Their lives keep going, right? You know,
Totally.
families move on. You know, things happen on the back of that tragedy.
They mourn you.
Yeah,
They mourn you. They mourn you, and they move on.
Yeah, you get back and you come home tan, whatever. You know, some other poor bugger's getting the shoe. Oh, lucky I didn't get the shoe there, I'm telling you. Eh? Who knows? So, but, come on then, cards on the table, Scotty, what do you think? Think it just went down, MH370?
What, 370? No, I stick to my theory. I think a blue jet shot out of the top of a thunderstorm and hit it. And whatever happened. You know, was it completely vaporized into, you know, just completely atomized? Or did it open up a vortex? And maybe we'll be hearing about 370 landing here in the next couple of years.
Sitting watching flight radar one day, Joe, you know, trying to track that chemtrail plane you seen in the sky, and then you're sitting there watching, and all of a sudden, bloop, just comes on your screen. Tail number, Mike, Hotel 370. Oh man, then you really, whoa! You want to catch that video? You want to catch that video? That's gonna get a lot of hits.
Yeah, for real.
That's gonna get a lot of hits. That one.
We
That'd be
think
weird,
that
though, right?
will be the ultimate clickbait. The ultimate clickbait.
There's part of me thinks that Kuala Lumpur, wherever it was flying out of, they got a distress signal. We're coming back to the airport, and they're all sitting there going, who's coming back to the airport? Only it's not the Kuala Lumpur in our realm, it's wherever it popped through, Scotty.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's in Bizarro World.
Oh.
Yep. We're having to turn around, we're coming back. Poor guy, back on the timeline that he came from. Guy's done nothing wrong. You know, he had Flight Simulator in his house. The guy liked flying. He played Flight Simulator. You know what kind of theories that all led to now, didn't it? You see, poor guy, he's just stuck in another dimension. And what if you're in that dimension where you're there? How does that work?
They land and they hear that, you know, President Greta has just been elected And
How dare you?
And Alex Jones is our VP.
oh,
What? I'm only
There you
saying.
go. I just sent you some footage from Bizarro World. That is the actual Bizarro World, the first Bizarro World. 1 minute, 15 seconds.
Bizarro World.
good old Bizarro World.
Hang on. Bizarro World. Here we go. If you cross that with idiocracy, right,
Yeah.
we're pretty much
Yeah.
there, right?
So there you go, man. That's Bizarro World. It's all upside down and
Bizarro-ocracy.
zigzag
Do we live
buildings,
in-
and
We live in Bizarro-ocracy. Is that where we live?
I think so.
I think so too. I
I'm
really
feeling
do.
it myself, buddy. But
I think
yeah,
you
there's
mean
a little footage
Biz-
from Bizarro World.
you took Bizarro World, Idiocracy, 1984, and Brave New World and threw it in a blender.
Ow.
Dang, dude.
I think
Not good.
that's about where we're at.
Yep, I'd say that's about right. So, what we got to see us out today, gentlemen? How about
Didn't
I
you have
tell you? How
about
about I tell you a weird story first, right? A really weird story. Not my weird story. I had to close that down there for a deafened everyone with my squeaky mic arm. But listening to a book right now, guys. It's mind blowing, right? Because it's The Curse of Oak Island. It's written by somebody Sullivan. I'll go and find it in a minute. But chapter 13 for anyone out there that's got the book, or if I'm listening to it. But it catalogues like all of the searches that have been done on Oak Island from 1795. You know, the McInneses, all the rest of it. But guys, it gets to a bit in the story where it talks about it was a famous stuntman in America, and he ended up going and hunting on the island as well. And it was a tragedy because it was him, his boy, and 2 other people lost their lives down a shaft one day. He had gas coming out, and it had obviously knocked out the first guy. He was unconscious, laying at the bottom, and they went in to rescue him, and you can imagine they all got overcome with the gas. But one guy who ended up going down and pulling them all out of there, he ended up eventually getting a job back on the island as the night watchman. And he was staying in one of the shacks and just getting down, just getting ready for a sleep. He had the fire on. And he remembers waking up to this ungodly noise. And the next thing, this pressure on him, right? Just absolute pressure on him. And what he described, and this is where I had to like, Audible's got a 15 second where you can kind of jump back. Because I couldn't believe what I was hearing, right? Oak Island, some of the best woo we've ever talked about comes from Oak Island, Scotty, right? But what if I was to tell you this guy, and he was a man's man, right? You're talking about back in the 60s time. Took him ages to tell his kids, years. But what had actually happened was, he says, when he turned round in the bed, getting held down, all he could see was dark, tight, curly hair and 2 of the reddest eyes that he's ever seen. And it told him, don't come back. And he never did. Never did. And for about a year or so after that, he was in a bad way. Real bad way. Like, hitting the drink, swearing, and just couldn't process it because, like I say, he's a man's man. He didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to tell his kids what had happened, you know? Come home crying in the middle of the night. And unfortunately, you know, not a long time later, the guy ended up taking his own life. Now, I tell you what, Oak Island, everything about it, and then you add that to it, it's like, damn, talk about the icing on the woo from that place. But yeah, now I still can't get over it since I've heard it. I've told about 4 or 5 people, I think. But it is absolutely wow. just when you think it couldn't get any weirder on that place, oh yeah, it does. It really does.
And then it goes back to like the menacing dark entities with red eyes and all of that. So
Even one of the stories we looked at earlier on had them big, huge red eyes at the top. I can't remember what one it was. Might have been the one you sent, actually, Scott. Yeah, the telepathic Sasquatch, big red eyes, you know? It's
was it a telepathic Sasquatch telling him to leave? I mean, it had curly hair.
It didn't go
I don't
into
know.
enough detail about how, like, whether it said don't come back or whether it just, like, in his head don't come back.
I mean, either way, he got the message right. You know, I mean, it
Well, there's
told
people in
him.
his family to this day, they look at the place and go, nope, not going there. Whatever happened to so-and-so, and I can't remember his name, but no, they just won't go near the place.
So weird. Makes you wonder, is there something guarding what's down there?
Man.
You know, I mean,
This
the
book's
show
been
is
getting into
called
so many of the theories, Scott, that, I mean, not that anyone's half figured it out anyway, but some of the things that people have thought over the centuries, and there's even people out there that think it was all some kind of ruse. The fact it was found by 3 people, it actually ties in with a Masonic, right, one of the Masonic levels. It actually, like, they act out where 3 young apprentices, and they're doing something, and it's got the kind of the wheel and the rope, and there's a theory that perhaps it was just some almost self-fulfilling Masonic lore. Do you know what I mean? You're like, but it can't be that because they found other things, and but the point being, there's that many different theories. You know what I mean? Crazy.
The thing is with the Oak Island stuff is that there are so many other, like you said, there's like so many other woo topics that end up tying into it, that it just becomes this
never ending, like
as
Indiana
Jimmy would
Jones
say,
type stuff, isn't it?
as Jimmy would say, a cornucopia
Morass.
of woo.
A morass of woo.
A morass. Woo. Yes.
An ample splattering of woo, if you will.
Oh my!
But then there's another one I was reading about the other day, right? Treasure and things. And place in Colorado, some millionaire buried treasure. The Ferris treasure. Have you heard of that one before?
No.
Hang on now. Treasure. See if I've got the right. I think it was in the Mysterious Universe. It was a millionaire. Hang on. Colorado treasure hunt.
I know that there was supposed to be
There we
some
go.
guy who
Here we go.
bunch of treasure.
Yeah, 4th person passes away on hunt for hidden treasure in Colorado. A 58-year-old man has died after becoming stranded while searching for hidden treasure in Dinosaur National Monument, becoming the 4th person to die in pursuit of the bounty. The man from Deer Trail, who has not been named, was found dead by rescuers 4 days after he was reported missing, and he'd rented a snowmobile along with another man and became stuck on the western side of the Colorado-Utah border. Goes on to say the men were searching for the legendary treasure of author Forrest Fenn, and it claimed it was hidden somewhere in the Rocky Mountains north of Santa Fe.
Yeah.
Fenn, that's what it is, yeah.
I've heard of this. Actually, Josh Gates from Expedition Unknown did a whole episode where he was trying to look for the treasure of Fenn, and yeah, I mean, supposedly it's out there, but
Spooky Andy,
There's a whole-
he's saying
It's with the Holy Grail, unfortunately.
Can you imagine though if this guy has like it says that there's meant to be gold bars and everything else? He's a millionaire.
Holy
Imagine
moly!
it's just a story, and people have been like losing their life trying to find that thing.
Yeah, but oftentimes sometimes that's the way it is, you know, like these stories are often ruses to get people off the path or to get them to go somewhere else. Like these crazy people that have done this typically will go to extremes to hide their stuff, you know. Check out the Knights Templar, for example, and the crazy way they've hid their stuff.
True. If that was even them, Joe, because
Correct.
there's places in Jamaica. If you go back to when you had the privateers and the pirates and things, but there's underground vaults on one of the places like the pirate hideout on island they used to use, which
Yeah.
if the descriptions are right, and it's in this book again, but it's talking about how these pirates were digging tunnels, doing mining on a par with probably the work done at Oak Island. And of course, there's theories out there that it could have been pirates of some kind, so it doesn't rule them out. I really don't know what the heck's going on there, and you've got all the Masonic stuff. But that Fen treasure, for anyone before we get going, it's quite interesting. It says the Fen treasure is a cache of gold and jewels, which Forrest Fenn, an art dealer and author from Santa Fe, New Mexico, claims is hidden in the Rocky Mountains of the U.S. He was a pilot in the U.S. Air Force, obtaining the rank of Major, and awarded the Silver Star for his service in Vietnam, where he flew 328 combat missions in 365 days. Wow. Now, he retired from the Air Force and ran the Arrowsmith Fenn Gallery with his partner Rex Arrowsmith, which became the Fenn Galleries, which is operated, or he operated with his wife Peggy, and the gallery $6 million a year. Try to see how much. Estimated 2 million. 2 million he's hidden up there somewhere. Telling you, that's
And I believe he wrote like
there's a book with clues,
a whole clue thing, and it's all cryptic, and you got to try to work it out. And
don't know, dude. Don't know.
I personally think there's something to it. I think he actually buried something out there.
No, we'll need to check out Bishop's Castle in Colorado sometime. We've only got 3 minutes left now, though. Dang, another Freaky Friday.
Dang, dude.
Dang, dude. Exactly, Joe. Another Freaky Friday comes and goes. Just like that. Faster than the speed of light, Scotty. Gone. Like a laser Wakefield.
I was just about to say, like an electron traveling on the way of
we're
laser
going
beam.
that fast, Scott. We're going that fast that we're about to open a paranormal portal. Brent Thomas will be on the other side.
Very nice.
Oh, come on. That was pretty good, right? Pretty good.
Yeah, it'll be like the Stargate opening up, and you know when they walk through the Stargate into the other realm, but instead we'll be walking out of the Stargate, and Brent will be there.
That's
Can you
right.
imagine if the Stargate was real?
That's right. Enter the portal of Trent Bromus.
Trent Bromus. Can you imagine that Stargate's real, though? They're all in Cheyenne Mountain right now, playing with it. You know they are. All those COG lockdown deep staters are playing with the bloody Stargate. I know it. That's what it's all about, Scott. I figured it out.
They're like, flip it on, Jim. Let me throw a can through there and see what happens.
I told you, don't tell anyone his name's Jim. We've got a super secret squirrel inside her that talks to us.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's got a voice changer. And he told us.
No 17th letter or anything, right?
No, they're firing up the Stargate, Joe. It's the Stargate.
Yeah, that's what's happening. That's what Jim said.
Letter? I got you.
That's what Jim said. Yep, it's gonna be like Doom under there. Maybe that's what's happening, man. Oh, how funny would that be? Haha. If that cabal had a Stargate, turned it on, and wow, it just went full doom on them. Have some.
It's time to go.
Have some. We'll be back sometime soon, wherever you are. Make it TFR and stay tuned for Brent Thomas on the way.
And didn't he touch that dial?
Nice. Yes, indeedy. So, folks, we are out here. I'll be back tomorrow, like I say. Be Popeye, Stuart Rhodes, and somebody else. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. And hopefully it'll be all back to normal on Sunday, and we'll be hanging out with Joe and Scotty. And I don't know if the beard does two nights of the weekend. I don't think he nah, he doesn't do that many public appearances.
I think I think that's asking a little too much of the beard.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Back to back.
Yeah. So, anyway, I want to thank everyone for being here today. Everyone for supporting the show, for chilling out with us, for sharing it. Remember and leave a like, leave a comment, and check out the Kev Baker Show 2 channel as well. We're going to be doing some content on there very, very soon. Me and Scotty, we've got gaming to get done. Not right now. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. I am going right to my bed. I'm absolutely whacked. So hope you enjoyed the show. I certainly did. Did you, Scott? Did you, Joe?
Joe pulled a Joe.
Oh,
He's
Joe
already,
done a Joe. He's gone already? Wow, man.
He immediately hit the portal. I mean, he just jumped right through that thing.
Yeah, we don't usually. This is what Joe does, folks. When he hears the outro music on our show, doesn't even say goodbye. No. It doesn't. Not. Wow, gone.
He just does his double backflip swan dive into the portal right off the high dive.
Oh, he just straight out of blinks out of existence, way back to the other dimension. But yeah, hopefully I'll be on earlier tomorrow as well, with our own fun streams that we like to do. Get into some woo, and yeah, stay safe out there. Ozarks season 3 is on for anyone that watches that. If you don't watch that, why don't you watch that? Scott, so good, but you have to binge it. But that's another story altogether. Who's in the chat room? Algo. We've got Connie, Spooky, Marcus, JP, Leslie. You know, I'd be here all night if I shouted everyone out. But honestly, thank you all so much. And who was it that made me jump out my skin? Where did that go?
I believe that was
Connie, you did. I'm gonna have to go back and find that. That could be a funny moment that we can replay on another stream, because I literally felt myself jump. But yeah, Scott, unless you've got anything else, we're out of here, man.
No, that was pretty funny, because you were getting into that creepy description of that dark entity, and then the trumpet just came in, and
it's the last thing you need when you're reading creepy stories. Is like random noises, just really loud, and you hear, whoa, what's going on there, man? Could have been worse. It could have been a random noise from under the table, some scratching, or
it could have been, yeah, or there could have been a random black entity just standing behind you while you were reading that out.
Wow. No, yo, well, that won't make me feel bad at all anytime I'm sat up here now when I'm looking behind me and things, you know? Damn, dude, did you have to do that? Now that you've said that, maybe you'll make one appear. Maybe you've seeded the Matrix with just the right data it needs, Scott, for a shadow thing to start lurking.
You're fine, Kev, because as soon as that happens, all you're gonna see is Anne just fly out of nowhere and just drop kick it. She's just gonna put the hammer down.
Dude, she would. I wouldn't mess, even if I was like some like high level demonic, like I still wouldn't mess wine. Hell no, dude. Hell no. Yeah, when demons get out of line, the devil sends them to Anne. You know what I'm saying, Scott? They get shooed back down. You get me? You feel me, man? It's a fiery shoe. Beelzebub's shoe. You can tell she's sleeping, or I'd be getting the shoe right about now. So, folks, listen, before I do get shooed to death, we are out of here. I'll see you all tomorrow. Remember, stay safe and keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. Oh, I nearly burst my eardrums out. It's got a fright again. The hell? Dang, dude. No wonder you're laughing, Scott. It's a bit loud, that old piano. Creepy tune when you start listening to it, but innit? That feels like the start of a horror movie. The credits are just coming on, you know. Cars driving in the rain. I can see it now, Scotty. You see a dark figure just flying out the corner of the windscreen, you know. And two big bright red eyes. Blah blah. This is I'm a Mothman. I killed the moment, didn't it? Hey, Mothman.